3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasin the Racin.
And welcome back to the podcast. I am here by our very own, well, I'm trying to decide what to call you, Josh Corner or Christian Idden. It looks like the Chasin the Racin catalogue's thrown up on you.
Do you like my get-up?
Mate, who are you now?
I know.
You're changed.
The first time in my life I'm colour coordinated.
I think it's because you're trying to dress up for our guest here, and you have not been on this show. Hold on, let me just get the facts right. Grace
This is the best looking guest I've ever had.
I'll just say,
since I've been on. Yeah.
Christian's not changed because that is all free. There's nothing about that is any different to what he normally wears. If he was wearing clothes he'd bought, I'd go, yeah, fair play,
You've
2025,
changed.
new year, new Christian.
Oh my God, this is going to be
done already. We're not even 20 seconds in, I've been done.
I love it. This is fantastic. We're not even a minute into the show, and we haven't even got to the sponsors side of things. But I tell you what, our guest has not been on this show since episode 58, and Grace has worked out that's June 2020, and we interviewed you and your brother, and here we have the favourite of the family.
Thanks.
Taylor, how we doing, my man?
I'm alright, how are you guys?
Oh, Grant, can you just lay into Christian a little bit more? So I was like,
All in good time. Look, this is
all in good time.
You've got to put the good things at the end to keep the viewers listening to the end. So we'll just talk nonsense till the end, and that's when, if you keep watching, that's when
drop the hammer.
Drop the hammer. I was about to say, I feel like we're under scrutiny here. That includes Grace is here on the show, by the way. This is like proper deep end stuff, because we actually have like the Dan Brazilian of motorcycle Instagram here. I am throwing that out
Brazilian.
there, mate. You're the king of
Dan
it all.
Bilzerian.
Whatever, Brazilian.
Dan Brazilian. That lad that had a wax up north. Can I just say, I am not Dan Bilzerian. That man prides himself on, can we even say that, prostitution and
Cigarette.
drugs and poker tournaments. That's not me. In my spare time, I am not Dan Brazilian.
What do you do in your spare time?
Just the drugs and the prostitution. Never played poker.
Fool's game.
Oh my God. Who was that famous footballer that said that? About he spent all his money on
George Best, wasn't it?
George Best. What is the quote? What was the exact quote?
Something about spent all his money on something else.
Drugs and women.
Women in lots it, and the rest he just squandered.
Yeah, that was it. There we are.
Can I just put out there, I do really love my girlfriend and my...
Jesus, whoa, we're not saying anything. Jesus,
it was just a joke. She might watch the first minute, so I've got to get that back in there. Should have saved that to the end.
Oh, no. I think all the listeners are going to listen to the end to see how you can get out of it with your missus. By the way, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, fuck it. Welcome to the club for you two. I can't even look after myself. Are you nervous? Are you
Can I just say it's because I'm having a child, not the missus part? You made that sound like, congratulations, you finally got a missus. I'm having a child. For anyone that doesn't know.
Well done, Taylor.
But yeah, I am very much looking forward to having a child. I actually can't believe it myself, because I never thought I would have one. Because I thought at some point I would have to grow up to have a child, but I realised I've not quite reached that.
Well, I saw it on social media, and I had to scroll past and scroll back up to see the name. I'm like, can't be.
Yeah, so did my mum.
Please tell me you're winding me up. Your mum did not find out, so thank God for that. Jesus, yeah. I tell you what, you are but I've only just seen it on the way down, so sorry for not keeping up to date. But Grace showed us the gender reveal with Mad Mark.
I'm not saying
that is.
I'm not saying I had a child to do that joke, but I have had that joke.
I feel like you're
in my head for quite some time.
How long was that in your head?
I've had it for ages, but I thought I'm never going to tell anyone because I want to use that on my own child. So yeah, I saved that one.
How long have you been with your missus?
3 weeks. No, I've been with her quite some time. But that joke, I never told her about that joke either. I just sort of filmed that, put it out there. Most girls want like a real romantic gender reveal. We just did Mad Mark with her.
So are you actually having a boy?
Yeah, we are.
Or a Yamaha?
Yeah, Yamaha.
If it was pink, I was just going to say it's a Ducati. So we went Yamaha.
Yeah, you organised the baby sex straight off.
I genuinely didn't realise that was a proper gender reveal. I thought it was just.
No, I had announced it before, but I just wanted to. I thought, when else am I going to use this joke? I did sort of tentatively put that one to the missus. I'm going to do this thing, and she sort of didn't laugh, but didn't say no. So it just went out.
We've done sponsors.
Mate, I know. This is the problem when you get a bunch of races together. I know. Look, I was literally just about to do that, Dad. Jesus, just because you're coordinated, I love it. But obviously, this show, we're in for a whirlwind. He already has been. But this episode and this show has been brought to you by OMG Racing, JCT, Truck and Trailer Hire, and obviously we have Lucky Day competitions. And Christian would also like to put a complaint in that he hasn't won anything yet.
I still haven't won anything. I'm trying.
You are trying. You're keeping the show on the road, and if you put money into this show,
I'm keeping Lucky Day competitions going for sure.
It's got to be done, and you've got a better chance. Right, the odds are massively better than the lottery. You know,
what is it? What I'm not in.
So
talk me through it.
Lucky Day competitions. They actually started off on the more agricultural side, but their prize range goes from 49 pence for £1,000 with minimum numbers, or their last bundle that went was the farmer's bundle, where you could take the cash alternative, £250,000. And you
there's things on there you don't realise you want until you see them, and you're
Red diesel.
They sell everything.
Not actually red. They do. There is a fuel. What's it called? Oil thing. Fill your oil container up.
Right, nice.
Honestly, there's all sorts.
They do everything like Evo cars, like rally spec. They do absolutely everything, like Banshee, Yamaha quads, and
it's a bit like the middle aisle at Aldi. You don't realise you need it.
I'm in, right.
You don't realise you need it until you see it, and you're like, 100%. I want that. I've got to have it.
Yeah.
But then the last one, they did a bike like a Gixxer 750. They're on the spot with as far as trying to get bikes, saying, well, you can't get a hold of them anymore. Mm-hmm. So they've just went and got one and raffled it off, and it's a hell of an idea. And they approached us, and they want to put us out on that side of the show, which is great. And a particular episode sponsor for this one is V-Moto. And now brace yourself. I tell you what, we've got a very interesting fact about podcasts and YouTube element, but we'll get that later on in the show. But V-Moto is the UK #1 electric motorcycle scooter brand. If you're looking for affordable, cost-effective way to get back and forth from work, school or college, 16-year-olds are waiting to start. For 16-year-olds who are waiting to start racing and riding, head to your local dealer if you want, or head to the BSB paddock out at. I need to learn read properly. That would be most helpful.
Well, it's great if you get yourself a scooter now. You can get backwards and forwards to college to learn to read. Christian went to uni. Why didn't you read it?
You did.
I didn't do the reading part of it.
I didn't.
Did you go to uni?
Yeah.
Shut up, man.
Christian's very clever. You've got to watch him.
Mm-hmm. I did a thick course. I did sports science, so it doesn't really count as uni.
You went to uni? Wow.
I did. Well, my mum gave me the option of going to get a job or going to uni, so I figured the lesser of two evils was definitely going to uni. So it was quite a clever thing to do. Not by the fact it's clever, I just thought that's easier.
I like it. Hold on, there's a Mackenzie family event.
With the uni?
Yeah. No, straight into racing.
Yeah, through, no. Not for any reason, just sort of got to the point where I should be trying at racing, and it was commit to racing or commit to uni. So,
see, my lectures were always Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but I'd always have Friday off because I was going to a race, and Monday off because I was tired from the race. And usually I'd get to Wednesday and think, well, there's not fucking much point in doing that. So I pretty much never really went.
This is desperate. This is desperate.
Waste of time. So I can't read either.
Oh, there we are. Perfect. Well, this is going really well. But I tell you what, I'm trying to think. Episode 58 there, 2020. And this is the best part of this show. We just get to ask you what you've been up to, because, I mean, as far as all of you are concerned, there's been a lot. There's been British Championships and Yamaha. There's been retirement. There's been everything. And this is the best first question. Where would you like to start with it all? What you been up to?
I don't know.
I don't know. Wow, well, that was tonight's show. Thank you very much for everyone.
You'll have to tune. Well, we're starting 2020 if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
2020 when you saw me. It was kind of a transformative point in my life, because that year we had COVID and lockdown.
Yeah,
and it was a weird thing. I didn't know this at the time, but I spent a lot of time away from racing, and that was something I never experienced in my life, because we didn't ever get a chance to have time away from racing, because you're either racing, training for the next season, or finishing a season and training again for the next one. So I never actually got any time away to understand whether I actually liked racing or not. That was just what I did, and I didn't know life outside of that. And I always thought I loved racing, everything about it, but it was actually that time in lockdown where I wasn't racing, where I thought, actually, I quite enjoy a lot of other things, which I had no idea about. I just lived my life to race motorbikes, basically. And coupled with the fact I then tore my MCL ligament and broke my leg in lockdown, which was around that time. I would have just done that.
In the garden, by the way, if anyone's...
When you weren't meant to go to hospital because they're all overrun, I was in the back garden, tucking the front. so
Were you breaking too late? 1,000.
Yeah, break too late. I actually blame Neil Hodgson for that because Neil Hodgson was around, allegedly, because we were all through COVID. We were outside and we were equally distanced on the track. And he moved the cone, allegedly. And as I was riding towards this cone, he kicked it. He says he didn't, but he did. He moved this cone. And because the corner moved, that's my excuse. Obviously, you've got to have an excuse as to why you crashed. The reality is I just lost the front. But I went that way and my leg went that way and tore my ligament. So, that was a weird season, really. We came back. I shouldn't have rode that year, but I did because you just do as a racer.
And what team were you with at that point, then?
So in 2019, I was with Bathams in Superstock.
Yes.
And I finished second in the championship. I had a really good year with them. And then the following year, I was signed up with, it was Cinetic that year, the old Tyco BMW.
Yes.
Chris, at the end of 2019, I did a wild card as Christian's teammate. And that all went quite well. I was quite enjoying riding Superbike and it was good fun. And then broke my leg. And then the next year was just terrible. I had a really bad year. And then the following season went back to Superstock. And that was where it all sort of changed. That was my last year of racing.
And it was that sort of the actual being at home, you realised that you liked all these different things, or that you didn't enjoy racing as much as you thought you did.
Yeah, it was it was just a weird time. So I went mountain biking with my friends. I played PlayStation. I did all sorts. I think for the first time in my life, I actually fully relaxed because I didn't realise how intense I was all the time and how stressed out I was. It was what actually did it for me was I had a lot of issues with my stomach the whole way through my racing career for the last 5 years. People that knew me at the time, I was allergic to a lot of foods. It was like eggs, onions, garlic, tomatoes, all these things I couldn't eat, or I'd get all sorts of problems with my stomach. So in lockdown, my stomach actually started getting better. And I sort of had half an inkling it was because we weren't racing and because I wasn't stressed. But you sort of, as a racer, you can never admit to having any issues or any problems because if you do, if 5 teams are looking at you, they go, well, he's got stomach issues. We're not going to have him. If there's 2 riders that are equal, why would you pick the one with stomach issues? Yeah. So I never said anything at the time. But it's only looking back now that weirdly, 2 weeks ago, I realised this. I ordered a new passport. So I've got my new passport photo. My old one was from around that time. And I look ill in this picture. But until you compare 2 photos of me from 5 years ago to now, you don't realise how ill I looked. But at the time, I just used to tell people, no, I weigh 64 kilos. That's my weight. That's my natural weight. But I don't actually. I weigh 70 kilos as a normal person. But when I was ill, that's what I did. So it was only when I finished racing, after about 3 months, I started finishing meals all the time, which I wasn't doing. And then one day, I accidentally ate an egg, which that was the worst thing. If I ate eggs, I was like, sorry if you're eating your dinner or your breakfast, but I wouldn't go to the toilet for 7 days if I ate an egg.
Wow.
Which was the issue. And I ate this egg and nothing happened. And I was like, that's weird. So then I tried everything else that I was allergic to, and suddenly I wasn't allergic to anything. And it was all this time I was stressed, and that's what it was doing to my body the whole time. And now I eat and drink whatever I want, which is the biggest for me as a day-to-day life, or just living day-to-day. That's one of the best things for me, that I can just live a normal life, which I didn't beforehand. So although I miss out on some parts of racing that I obviously really loved about racing, and you'll never ever beat the feeling of winning a race or winning a championship, but I knew that when I was stopping. But I also have to live in my body for 365 days a year. So to sacrifice a few winning a race 4 times a year, or less most of the time, in my case, that's a better option for me.
Did you realise you were stressed racing, or was it just the stomach issues? You thought, the stomach issues, or did you feel stressed or up a height, or did you notice it?
Yeah, I did, because I never admitted this at the time, but I had depression twice in my career. In 2018, in the middle of the season. Yeah. And depression, I hate talking about it because I don't want to be one of those, poor me, because I'm not. That it was just my life. That's what I did. And I'm grateful for everything that happened in my career. But I did have it. And for anyone that's not had it, I was also that person that goes, just cheer up. What's he got to be sad about? He races motorbikes. It can't be that bad. But when you're living in your own head, you can't get away from it. You wake up miserable. You don't know why you're miserable. And 2018, I went to the doctor about it because it got that bad. I had all these stomach issues. I felt crap all the time, and I didn't know what it was.
Was it solely your decision at that point? Did you speak to the family, or was it just like
No,
you just woke up one day and went,
no, I went. So in 2018, when I went to the doctor, she said, "What do you do?" I said, "Race motorbikes." No, she said, "What's causing you stress?" I said, "I think it's my job." And she went, "Oh, you need to stop doing your job." I said, it doesn't really work like that. So I was like, I kind of built a whole career for 10 years to this point, and it's kind of all led towards that. I've not been to school or uni. I don't have any qualifications. I don't have an apprenticeship. Like, I don't really have a choice. And I think that was probably part of the whole thing. But 2018 was a bad year of my racing, but 2019 I sort of turned it around and had a good year. But 2020, when I injured myself, I was back to this, I don't feel great. And then 2021 was where it all sort of hit home. I was actually having a really good season. I won the first race of the year quite comfortably, won the second race of the year. But that was where I realised that something was wrong, because I won a race at Knockhill, which is like the best thing ever for me, winning a race at Knockhill. And across the line, I remember looking at the checkered flag and just feeling nothing, like not feeling happy about it, not feeling anything. And I was like, this is weird. Why am I even doing this? I stressed myself to bits for this moment to win a race, and I didn't even enjoy winning it. And that was where I thought, this isn't right. And then the second race, I took the front and crashed. And then you can imagine then how miserable I was. So through the middle of that year, I just came to the decision one day. I just woke up and I thought, I'm just not going to do this next year. I don't need it that much in my life. And it was that season I actually wrote loads of notes in my phone. Every time I was miserable, I was writing all these things down, because I knew now I would look back and go, well, why don't you just race? Like, it wasn't that bad. Like a lot of people do. You look at it with rose-tinted spectacles. So I've got all these notes of what I felt like at the time.
To remind yourself.
To remind myself. And I do read them, and I think, I remember what that was like. Just because I'm quite a happy-go-lucky person, if someone sees me in the paddock, I'd smile at them, because I would, that's me. But I've literally written that in my phone. On the inside, I actually felt like crap. And it was only when I stopped racing that I started feeling a lot better about it all. So
I can say, because like, I know most of your story, but knowing you as you are a happy-go-lucky person, so you never actually think that, Taylor might have these things and these feelings. But yeah, it's pretty crazy to hear the full story of what you're saying and what you've been through. But I guess that it's kind of weird that it was forced upon you to actually, you mainly realised it when the break was forced upon you.
Yeah.
And actually there is a life outside of it.
Yeah. And that was a huge jump, because a lot of people will tell you you're not missing out on anything. Like, because as an example, when you're 20, you're missing out on parties all the time. I didn't really go to many parties when I was a kid. I didn't really drink till I was 20 or 21. That was when I first went out. And you miss out on people's birthdays and all of that. I was happy to make all those sacrifices because I had my goal of what I wanted to do. And don't get me wrong, I still had fun and I went out every now and again. But from January to October, most of the time I was just training, and that was how I lived my life. But having stopped racing, I drank for a bit, did bits and bobs, and I did all of that. And that isn't what I was missing out on. I was missing out on riding my trials bike on a Tuesday and not giving a crap whether I fall off and break my arm because I'm racing at the weekend. And I didn't realise, even when it's cloudy outside or raining, my brain when I was racing, so on a Tuesday it'd be cloudy, I'd think, oh fuck, it might rain at the weekend, what's that going to mean for the race? And now when it's cloudy, I think, oh fucking hell, the sun might come out in a bit. Like it's not that deep. But I think because of the way my brain is, so I get quite obsessive with things. I was obsessed with racing. That's what I was doing. I was obsessed with my training. It's only now I've stopped, I can think, I can't switch off. And it was actually when I was finished racing, Billy McConnell, who's a really good friend of mine at the time, he goes racing slightly differently. He really loves his racing and he trains hard and he works hard, but he also has a lot of fun. And he was like, why can't you just be like me, just fucking chill out? Like, it doesn't matter. But I can't. I'm either racing and that's what I'm doing. I'm going all in and we're going to try and win a championship, or I'm miserable and we're not winning. So I can't. I'd love to just, people say it now, like, why don't you just race again? But I just know if I start racing, I'll go back to how I was. I can't just go racing and have a laugh, because it's just not the way we're wired. It's not how we've been brought up. We go racing to win, and if you're not winning, it's a problem. So you need to figure out why you're not winning. So that's where I am. But
that year that you decided, it was mid-season, wasn't it, when you decided?
Yeah.
And you were doing super stocking at the time.
Yeah. That was for Batham's, wasn't it? Yeah. Fantastic.
And once in your own head you'd made this decision, and I guess did you speak to your family, I suppose?
Yeah.
Was it an instant relief of...
No.
Or did you? Because obviously you still had season to finish off, I guess. So you hadn't, in your head, you decided you were stopping, but you still had to finish the year out.
So this is a funny story, which I don't think anyone actually knows. I think I've said it somewhere on my YouTube channel, but I don't think Michael
YouTube channel.
Nice plug. Oh yeah, I've got a channel in case you're watching, guys.
What's the ads?
Yeah, all the interesting stuff in my videos is right at the end as well. So make sure you're watching the end. So the weekend where I announced my retirement was at Donington Park, and so that season I'd had 2 wins at the start of the year. Then we sort of messed about all year. It was the first year of the M1000, and we had a few problems with the bike, and it was sort of backwards and forwards. But we had flashes of brilliance where we were really fast again. Snetterton had finished second, but sort of backwards and forwards, wasn't really enjoying it, kind of thinking, I'm done with this. But even when I told myself I was done, I was still crashing, I was still trying hard, nothing changed on track. And Donington Park is my home round. That was one of the best ones ever for me. My friends always come to watch me. It's like, that's my, I have 2 home rounds, not killing Donington. And we got there on Friday, sort of going okay. Saturday, I absolutely chucked it down. And I pride myself on being a good wet weather rider through my career. That was where I sort of excelled. And
the Scotsman in you.
Yeah, brought up underwater. So on the Saturday, it was wet. And I rode terribly. For whatever reason, the bike didn't work, the traction wasn't working, and I pulled in the first race because I felt that horrendous. And I was literally riding around thinking, I've got one more race to do at Brands in 2 weeks. Why am I riding around? I'm 24th, I'm going to crash. So I just pulled in. I've never pulled in my racing career ever, unless there was a bike problem, but I pulled in. And I said, there's no point, I'm going to crash, and I don't want to wreck the bike or myself. So they said, all right. So I was on the back of the scooter with Michael Rutter going back to the motorhome. And he said, I just said, should we just call it a day now? Should we just sack it off? I won't bother with tomorrow. And he thought I was joking. And he sort of laughed. He was like, yeah. And I'm thinking, oh, fuck, I'm not strong enough to say, no, I don't want to ride tomorrow. I'm done. Let's just call it a day. And Sunday was the day, not to blow my own trumpet. But,
it was the day.
Oh, that was...
But that's the reason I started at the back of the grid, because I pulled in the first race. So I didn't qualify for the next day. So I was on the back of the grid. And then I started last. And for whatever reason, the bike just worked that day. And I went from last to first and won the race.
And it was a full dry race and everything, wasn't it?
Full dry race, yeah.
And it was actually Billy that you passed on the last lap.
Yeah, we had a good battle last time.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
But there was nothing triggering. You're on the back of a scooter with Michael Rutter going, nah, I don't want to do this. In the back of the grid of stock 1000 where it's such a competitive field, as you know. Yeah. There was nothing.
No, that's still,
it was just.
But every time I get on the grid, nothing changes. I'm still that person. Even so, you can see where I was at on the Saturday. I am ready to stop. I haven't got anything in me. And on Sunday, I get on the grid and the bike feels all right, and I ride okay. So
in a way,
that's very much that you rode okay.
It's one of the best races of all time. I don't know if it's available on YouTube or anything.
It'll be there.
It is one of the best performances of all time. But in a way, it was a loaded question because, having known that race happened, almost I was wondering whether you felt a sense of relief and you rode free, or was it just you had a good day in the office?
No, it's just the bike worked good.
Was it? You did what you could do.
Yeah, that's one thing that pissed me off through my career in racing. And no one has a perfect career. Even Marc Marquez is the best rider in the world, but he still had 5 years of hell. And what I can't stand about racing compared to other sports is you can train your nuts off all winter, you get to March, you get on your bike and you don't like the bike, or it doesn't work with you, or you're not gelling with a team, and suddenly you're in for a battering. And that's what I didn't like about racing. I 1 year it'd be really good, the next year it'd be crap. And because I had no control over that feeling, I think that's what I struggled with, where I'm not in control of my own thing. No matter how much I think I am, I'm doing everything I can. So many other things can happen. So that was what I struggled with, I think. But yeah, going back to that last race, it wasn't like anything was different. And that's what frustrates me. On the Saturday, I can't ride a bike for toffee, and then on the Sunday, I'll win a race in the back of the grid. So it's like there's no rhyme and reason to it.
And after having one of the best races of your life, do you think,
Well, that's what everyone said. They were like, "Oh, surely you must be thinking I'll come back." And I was like, "No, I'm still done with it."
So you know that I guess almost cemented it, did it? Because you go, "I've just had one of the best races that ever in the world," and then you're still happy in your decision.
I think that really cleared it for me, because people were saying, "Oh, well, surely how can you walk away now?"
But I sort of like I like to think that sometimes I watch boxers that go on way too long. Like you're watching Tyson Fury now. I don't think should be boxing. I mean, I wouldn't say that to his face. Or any of his family members if they're watching. But it's like, do you know what I mean? He's gone past his best. He's
Like
done all the
Tyson.
big
Are you that Taylor? Are you that Taylor? No.
like,
Isn't he a Patreon?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Funny enough question here.
and I just sort of, I like the fact that I left at the top. Like I couldn't have done any more. Sometimes I think I could have achieved more in racing, but I could have also achieved a lot less. I was happy with what I did. I won a championship and proved on my day I was a good rider. And so I can walk away with that. But some people, like I could have carried on racing for 5 years and done nothing and then sort of petered out and been nothing and I'd have just been forgotten about. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but I just like the fact for myself that I walked away and that's it. Because people say now, they're like, oh, why don't you do a wild card? But I don't have anything to gain for doing a wild card. Because if I come in and I win in Superstock, well, you've already proved you can do that a few times, so what? And if you come in, you finish fourth, I'll be pissed off if I finish fourth again and probably can't eat eggs in 2 weeks. So that's why I just leave it as it is.
So was there nothing on your... Well, saying that, I feel like we're speaking to like a 90-year-old man. In some ways, that you retire, but you've got so much more you can do because you're still involved with bike racing.
Yeah.
Very, very much so. And actually, let's go back a few... Oh my God, this is testing me knowledge. Go back a few years when your brother won the British title.
Yeah.
Where were you in that situation? What year was that again? I'm looking over at Grace and Christian here.
Oh, that's 2021. So that's the year I stopped racing.
Holy shit.
So that's it, yeah.
So I remember when you won that race at Donington and your interview was just class. You're like, yeah, I've just told everyone I've packed in and everything like that, and big smiles and everything. But that was the year your brother won.
Yeah. So that didn't change anything. That's I had that race at Donington, and then the next week was Brands Hatch when Taz won his championship. So it was quite a good time for us all.
That and speaking of you all, and I must ask, you know, the moment when you decided I've had enough, and you had to sit down with your family. How difficult? Because it's not like anyone else who's just stepped up into racing. You know, your whole family, the Mackenzie name, is so cemented in this industry. Was there any pressure on that side of things? Were you more nervous what your dad was going to say? Or
I'm obviously straight, but I would probably liken the whole scenario to what I would imagine it is for a gay person to come out of the closet to the family. Or like,
but it's a good analogy.
But it is, because for our family, we're racing and that's it. And there's no we never wake up and going, is anyone not okay with this? Like, that's just what we've done from being a child. So for me to come and say, I'm not feeling this, but it didn't kind of work like that. I sort of like tentatively said the words because I wasn't even comfortable saying the words out loud that I was going to stop. So how I said it to myself at first was, I'm not going to go racing next year unless someone offers me a load of money to go racing, because then it'd be stupid to turn it down. So that was how I sort of said it. And then when I started saying it, and I was like, but if that doesn't happen, I'm just going to not race. And when I said that, Taz, Dad and my mum, they knew how ill I was and how stressed I was. So not one person, I mean, any person they would have been mentally ill to be telling me to carry on racing because of how stressed I was and how horrible it was for me. So that side of it, sort of when I said it to them, that was just a relief for me. They were just on my side. No one said, oh, are you sure about that? Everyone was like, oh, class, like, you can chill out now. That's how
Do you
it
think
was.
they half knew that it was coming?
Probably, because I never said the words.
Because
but
you're a close family, you know.
yeah, they've seen everything behind the scenes.
Yeah.
We're like best of friends. We're very lucky as a family that we all get on so well. So they knew what I was like and how stressed I would get and how much I put into it, and sometimes didn't get rewarded for it. And so for them, it wasn't a big shock, I'd imagine, even though still to say it or to have that as... It was a weird thing at first, thinking, oh, we're just going racing with Taz next year because that's what we've done our whole life. So, yeah.
How was that scenario? Because I want to actually go back into the YouTube element, because in 2020, did you have your YouTube channel set up? You did,
Yeah.
didn't you? Keep looking at Grace in the corner here, and I'm like, Jesus, please tell I'm getting these facts right.
That was part of the turning point as well, that I was doing videos and making videos that I absolutely loved doing. And I was like, I was in control of that, which I'm probably a control freak without... This feels like therapy in itself.
Oh, Christian Nidden is your therapist.
Yeah.
That's
I'll invoice later, don't worry.
That's it.
But the control element, when I make a video, I edit it, I choose what I'm doing, and if it goes out, if if it doesn't do well, that's my fault because I didn't do a good job. And I try and improve on that for the next one. But I really loved making videos, and I always have done I've made videos since I was 10, like messing about with video cameras and making rubbish edits, riding a mountain bike and stuff like that. That's what I always did as for fun. So YouTube was just that. It was like an extension of doing that. And then, I mean, I was nowhere near enough at a point where I could do that as a job, but I thought, well, I could do that for fun in the meantime and until I figure out what I was going to do. But that... I was very, very fortunate that at the point of I wasn't sure if I was going to race, Michael Laverty, I told Neil Hodgson, because he's a real good friend of mine, he sort of mentored me at times through my life, and he said, if you're thinking of stopping racing, Michael Laverty's starting a team. You could maybe work in that. And I was like, that's cool. And that was how that job came about, because I thought I was going to be doing social media or something. And Michael rang me up and said, yeah, right. Well, firstly, Michael said, I don't want to be the reason you're stopping racing. Like, don't stop to do my team. I was like, no, I'm stopping. Like, it's not that. And he said, all right, okay. And then he rang me up one day and he's like, right, so I've put you down as the team manager. And I was like, you what? Spat my drink out type thing. I was like, I don't know if I can be the team manager. And then he went, well, I've never owned a team before, and you've never managed one, so I'm sure we'll figure it out. And that was it. That was how that came about. So
Shut up, man.
So
You're
what point was
stressing
that?
over eating an egg, racing a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's talk about this in depth here. We are your therapist today.
Yeah.
My idea of stress would be through the roof managing a team compared to racing a motorcycle. What?
No,
talk me out. Go for it.
Yeah, no, that stress was it's a completely different kind of. Don't get me wrong, it was still stressful at points, but it was a completely different thing. And I always think that racing, if this is the real world, racing has you like this. Like, you can be down here, but you can also be up there. Everything in the real world, like outside of racing, it's just like this. Like, okay, I have a bad day managing the team, someone's crashed or the sponsor's not happy or something. I'm not in hospital. My leg's not hanging off. I'm not screaming. I'm not thinking I've got no job next year. I'm just thinking, all right, we'll try and fix that for the next one. It's not that bad. Or you're traveling and you're jet lagged. You wake up, you get off the plane and think, God, I didn't sleep. Well, I might just have another coffee. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Whereas racing, you're like, well, for me, I didn't sleep last night and now I'm going out, and that's the difference. So managing a team was not stressful.
What does manage? We had kind of this conversation already. What does managing a team entail? Because a manager's role it's pretty broad, isn't it?
Yeah, and it depends from team to team.
And as well, I guess a new team as well.
Yeah.
Did you just hang up the phone after spitting your coffee out, or did you actually ask him what are the?
It wasn't much more than that. It was like, all right, I'll see you at the first
Did
test.
you just Google team manager role?
manager role.
What do I
yeah.
do? You know what I mean?
That's the thing. There's no course. Motorbike racing. It is like the Wild West. We sort of make it out to be something that it's really not. It's just a load of blokes that are quite good at motorbike racing that have got no idea what they're doing in life, winging it. And
Well, that is just summed up motorcycle racing.
But it's true, though, isn't it?
That's a myth.
There's no course that you go on and you join a team, you think, oh, that guy's done a 3-year course at uni doing that. He just ran a bike shop and now he's got a team. That's how it works. And so I thought my experience, and I also thought I've got a broad network of people between Michael Laverty, Neil Hodgson, my dad, my brother. I've got a lot of experience that I can draw on.
Bloody hell, the whole paddock, you know, with all the teams you've raced with.
I wasn't that stressed about doing it. I kind of thought, I'm a people's person. Hopefully I can understand people. I understand how racing works. So I wasn't concerned about that. That was like a relief. I was just excited to go travelling around the world with Moto GP again.
Right, let's talk about day one. I just want to, day one, I want to talk about what was your job list, what you had to do, and you're going to do a course on Chasin the Racin of how to become a team manager in 10 minutes. You've got 10 minutes.
Do a video on this.
Yeah, you're doing it now. Come on, Grace is over the moon with this. The team manager role, go.
It's I mean, we did sort of. We didn't wing it because Michael knows exactly what he's doing. He's a very clever guy and he's not... I wouldn't have got involved in it, I should say that as well, if it wasn't Michael, because he's so clever and switched on. We had a good sponsor at the time, Simon from Vision Track.
You've mentioned Simon a few times, haven't you?
Oh, I'd love to get him on the show just because I think he's done so much for the
he's
sport.
been asked a few times. You should get him on because he's
he
a good
keeps
guy.
saying no, but he's he's done so much more than he realises for...
He'll probably be listening to this, so I'll just tell him that he could probably plug his business if he gets on here, and then he'll be on in a flash.
Did you know Simon before the team manager role?
No.
Oh,
not
right.
Really, no. He'd watched my YouTube videos, I think, and Michael suggested that I was going to be it, and he was happy for that to be the case. So that's weirdly where YouTube led to.
Class.
Weird way, yeah. But day one, everyone was sort of finding their feet. I think what I realised after was I was lucky that it was a new team. Had it have been a team that was already established, it'd have been harder going in as a team manager, because I read some books on management at the time, and you've got two sort of managers. One that comes into a new setup where everyone's finding their feet, and that had its problems, which we can probably talk about in a minute. But the fully set up team that's already there, and you're a new manager that's never done it before, you come in, suddenly the spotlight's on you straight away. If things aren't working, well, that's not how we did it last year. That's not how Dave did it. And we didn't used to do that. And if the team's struggling, well, the finger's getting pointed at you. Whereas because we were all new to it, we were all finding our feet as we went. And I learnt loads in a very short space of time. And if I did it again now, I would do it differently. I think the one thing that I did wrong, looking back on it, was treating the riders like I treat my brother. I tried to go in with we're best friends, let's do this together, thinking that it would be how me and my brother go racing. And if I tell Taz to do something, he'll do it. Whereas I didn't realise when it's not my brother, they might not agree with what you're saying, which is fine. Everyone can have their own opinion. But I just thought we're going to go racing like I want us to, and do this the right way. And in my mind, that's not to say that's right for everyone, but that was, if I went back now from the start, I would not be their mate straight away.
Really?
I think you have to have some kind of, because what happens is when the shit hits the fan, it's really hard to switch off from being your mate to I'm not happy about that. And there's sort of a level of respect you get from someone that's hard on you. That I had that relationship with Michael Rutter. He was my best mate. He was really good to me, but he could also bollock me, because there was that level of, we don't drink in the pub together still. I'm still your boss, and I'll tell you as it is.
You had that respect between the two.
Yeah. And I don't know if it probably didn't help that because I was a young face. It was like, well, we're not that much younger than you, and we're
that's the thing, isn't
a bit like a school teacher. When you get that young school teacher come in, you think, well, like, no matter how much you shout and scream, you're still just a young school teacher. So I think that sort of played a part. If it was an older person, it might have been different. But having said that, I absolutely loved doing it. Scott got a couple of front rows for the team in Japan and scored points in GPs, and I learnt loads doing it, and it was really interesting actually.
And did you ever bollock him?
Yeah.
So you still did it?
I found parts of my personality I didn't know I had, to be honest. Which I've never spoken about, but they know. I'm a different person at times.
Did you lose your shit?
Yeah, I fully lost my shit. Yeah, I happily. But equally, I patted them on the back, and it's Michael knows as well. It was like, what's funny as well is Michael's such a nice person. Michael doesn't want to dish out the bollockings, so he'd leave it to me. So
Michael is the nicest guy I know. I've told this story before.
Oh, he's so nice.
I knocked him off at Assen once, and he was bubbling with rage, and I deserved a punch in the face. And he came up to me in the garage, and I thought, I'm going to get a punch that I deserve. And he went, and then shook my hand. I'm like, oh. I was like, I'm so sorry, Michael. He's like, it's okay. And I literally just wiped him out. He can't be angry at anyone, can he, Michael?
No, and that's why he's so good at what he does, because I'd have fell out with everyone. Like, he can't fall out with anyone. So that's why it all keeps going, because he's such a good person to have in the middle of everything, that he's the glue that sticks it all together. Whereas if it's up to me, I'd have been shouting and screaming more and changing things.
Because did that change your friendship? Because obviously you're working for Michael at this point. Did your friendship change?
Not at all. I really felt like with Michael, I had the best relationship ever, because we could text each other going, what do we do? Like, we were that close in that respect that I could ring him at any time or text him at any time. And between us, we would try and figure out the best way to move forward. And I had a great relationship with Michael. I honestly can't thank him enough for that opportunity, because it was an amazing thing that he let me do.
Because how many staff were involved in year one? That was like, bearing in mind you go into Moto GP.
Yeah, we were sort of as minimal numbers really. We had me, sort of manager. Between me and Michael, we managed it and did the team coordination between us. So during the week, Michael was the manager. He would decide who was getting hired or sacked or rider contracts or things like that. But then come the weekend on Wednesday, he was working for BT Sport. So I'd step in, and between us, we'd do it. So I'd sort of feedback and do everything in between, organise all the passes, organise sponsors, talk to the riders and deal with all that side of it as well. So between us, we did that side. Then we had a crew chief and 2 mechanics on both sides. So it was quite a small team.
For Moto 3, that's a pretty
That's standard. That's what most Moto3 teams run off. They might have a data guy, an electronics guy.
Yeah.
MLab's team's a lot bigger now. They've actually got quite a lot more staff. I think when I left, I realised there's one person doesn't do those jobs. You need 2 or 3 people, and to do it properly, the more staff you have, the better is wrong, because I think sometimes too many people involved is also wrong. But I think definitely having a few more people helps on there.
But when you packed in racing and you thought, right, that's my last race, no problem. Just watch my brother win the track, right? No problem. I'm going to go. What was your mindset at that exact point? Was it just, I'm just going to go watch and enjoy racing before the Michael Laverty?
Well, the Michael Laverty thing came about before Donington.
So you already had it lined
so
up.
that's
in a
where
way.
I was so lucky when I should have said that was in my mind. I thought, I've like the pressure's off, because what was
So you had
troubling me.
Because in a way, you already said like you've got no other job ideas.
Well, that was part of my problem when I was thinking about quitting racing. I was like, what am I going to do?
That is the question. What
That
would
was
you have
I
done?
was crapping myself.
and you
I
already
thought-
said like your YouTube channel was there, but not enough to keep you going.
So that was why it was so serious, because it was, I'm going to stop racing, which I earn a decent amount of money out of now. It's my career. I could carry on doing it whether I liked it or not till I was 35, 40 if I wanted to, it all being well if I didn't get injured. So I was walking away from that to literally nothing. I kept thinking in my head, I've got all these sponsors and it's like turning taps off. I'm like, I've got nothing to fill my bucket up with when I turn all these taps off. So,
It's a way of putting it. Meeting up with.
Yeah.
and trust me, they do turn off the second you stop racing. That is what it's like. So I had that in my mind the whole time. That's what I was walking into. But then when the Michael Laverty thing came about, that was like pressure off, because I've got this now. I mean, that was still like pie in the sky when it first got mentioned, because I thought there's no way I'm going to go from racing to managing a team. The chance of that happening, nothing. So I didn't believe it till we were at the test.
I mean, the team itself came together super quick, didn't it? Because it was basically last minute slots on the grid. Then the Petronas team
Petronas
that
team,
they took over, or not took over, but you know what I mean, bought all the stuff from. But so what I want to know is, was it difficult to manage the riders? Not manage the riders, you already said what it's like in that respect, but you've literally come off of racing. You've got your own expectations of yourself. You're obviously like hard on yourself and that sort of thing. Did you at any point get made, I don't know about frustrated, but think they're not doing what I expect or what I would like them to do? Or, you know, like, because for me, I think if I was in that scenario, I would personally get frustrated if I didn't see, let's say, a level of effort, or if I thought they could do better in one way. Was there any level of frustration going like, because you've been through Moto3 and all that, going like, come on, boys.
Yeah, that was the hardest thing for me, and it's why I didn't want. After the 2 years of doing it, I thought, well, when I stopped racing, I thought I'm going to try everything and see what I like doing, and then figure a plan out from there. I got halfway through the second year, I thought, I don't like this. This isn't what I want to do. When I stopped racing, I never thought I'm going to be a team manager, but I really struggled with me saying do something and people not doing it. That's what I struggled with the most, and that's up to them. That's their career and it's their opportunity. But it's weird, I'm sure you'll feel this yourself, as you get older, especially into my 30s, you suddenly realise 10 years ago when people are telling you stuff and you think, fucking idiot, what does he know? Like, they've been there and done it. And I've the problem, I thought it was a good thing that I'd been there and done it and know exactly what you're going through and know how to change it. But that only works if you then do what I say, and that's where I struggled, that they didn't always, and that was their career, they can do whatever they want. But for me, if Dad told me or Taz to do something, we did it, and that's just the way I've been brought up. So I rightly or wrongly, if Dad said do that, I would do that, whether that was running outside in the snow or not eating that or doing whatever. That's just the way we went. So, and I quickly realised as well, when you've got younger riders, you've also got parents that are there and they've got their own expectations of their child, and they've spent a lot of money getting to that point, and it's crunch time getting to GP. So that side of it, I didn't enjoy that side, having to deal with that. I think I definitely would have enjoyed it more if it was, I always thought if it was a Moto2 team and you got riders that are sort of established and they know where they're at and sort of doing that, that would be a completely different thing to managing a junior effort, which I realised. So I sort of, through the second year, I told Michael early in the year, I said, I don't think I want to do this next year. And he's like, don't worry, I always thought when you signed up to do this, that this wouldn't be your end goal. I'd never signed up thinking I'm going to be Paolo Ciabatti managing Ducati MotoGP. And it's not me doing that. So
how did you find doing the MotoGP circus and the travelling and the that paddock? Was it enjoyable thing to do? Like, 'cause whenever you travel, you don't get to see what people think you travel the world and you see all these places, but you don't tend to, do you?
Yeah, I've honestly got such a high level of respect for MotoGP riders. I cannot tell you how draining it is just as being the team manager, and I do nothing physical. I turn up, we set the box up, or the guys set the box up, I sort the passes. I'm not doing anything hard physically, and it is so knackering. You get to the end of the year, all the mechanics of, like, you go away at some points for 6 weeks with a group of blokes.
How long's the season now? Is it 18 rounds or more than that?
21.
It's 21, finishing.
And you start in February and you end at the end of November. And if you had to pick 6 mates to go and do that with, it would be hard enough spending that amount of time with 6 people that you really like.
Jesus.
And we were very lucky in the MLAV team. There were just 6 random mechanics that we all got on really, really well. And as a unit, thank God that we did, because some really tough times. But I can't tell you, by the 6th week, Kevin Bridges is a Scottish comedian. He does a sketch about going on holiday with your mate. So he says, firstly, there's 12 of you in the group chat. 6 already bailed just the week before. So then you're left with these 6 that are on there. And he says, by the last day of the holiday, you're looking at your mate and he licks his thumb to move the page on the newspaper, and you're going, I fucking hate the way he licks his thumb. And that's what it's like. It's like weird things that go into your brain.
Though, isn't it? Yeah.
There's an Italian mechanic called Giovanni, who I love. He's one of my best mates during the time, but he eats with his mouth open. Jeez, 6 weeks of sitting down for breakfast, and you think, I'm going to kill him in a minute. And that's what it's like. It's not just because, and it's not just, you think, oh, it's just our team that's like that. But I was really good friends with people at Alpine Stars, and you talk to them, and they're getting annoyed at, and you've also got the cultural differences between Spanish people, Italians, British. They're getting annoyed at us because we
shutting
want to
your mouth when
eat
you
at 6. Yeah, they want to eat at 10. We want to eat spicy food. They just want to eat pizza. It's like there's all these things going on. So it's just a cauldron for everyone falling out. So you're on like eggshells by the end of it, trying to just keep your distance from people. And so that side of it, it was funny managing people and doing that side of it and trying to keep the whole thing going that way as well. That was good fun. But going back to the travel side, that was amazing not being a racer, because when you're racing and you're traveling, it's completely different, because I'm thinking, I need to sleep on this plane, I need to get off, I need to train, I need to feel right, I need to get ready for the heat. Whereas when you're not racing, you turn up, you think, wow, we're in Malaysia. Do you want to go to the shopping centre and have a look around before we go to the track? Or there's like, you actually got to enjoy it a bit more. And I really told Josh and Scott to enjoy the travel side of it and have time off in between. On a Monday, we're in Indonesia, go to the beach and enjoy being at the beach, because otherwise you're just at a racetrack from February to November. You're going to travel all around the world, and whether you do well or not, by the time you're 30, you'll think, I wish when I flew all the way to Thailand, I'd just gone and had a look at the beach. And I see more and more of them doing that, not just Scott and Josh, but more of those riders going off and exploring the world, because it is so hard if you don't do that. Everyone's away from their families. We had all sorts of it's just single guys going away racing all the time, and rightly so. They got misses angry with them at home, like they're away from home all the time. And I really tried to just get everyone to enjoy the experience of being away, because if you don't, it was difficult.
It has been quite good actually seeing Jorge Martin's like known for being a bit of a party boy, but he does put quite a lot on his social media of his maybe not days off. He's maybe done his bit during that day, but he does put quite a lot of beach sort of stuff up. And you're like, good time sort of post, which is nice, because the younger riders are going to feed off that and maybe see that it's not just the absolute just chore and the treadmill of just non-stop training or airport circuit. Yeah. He actually does look. If you look at his social media, it looks like he's genuinely enjoying his
I think
time.
You have to as well, otherwise it's so hard. And I kept thinking, because when we were racing in BSB, you've got 12 rounds during the year, so for 40 weeks of the year you're not racing. Well, it's not like that in MotoGP. You're racing every flipping weekend. And on Tuesday, getting a 5-hour cycling isn't really that important, because as long as you're fit and ready for the next race, you're racing again, and they have so much track time. I think they're your training
That is their training session.
So I think that side of it is less, it's not less important, but they're riding so much that it's not as crucial. In BSB, you have so much time off in
You
between.
have to train.
And
Yeah.
World Superbike, you have 8 weeks off sometimes. Well, MotoGP, you barely get time to pee. It's like, that's what it feels like in between it all.
Do you wish you did the team manager role, not straight into MotoGP? You know, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? But
I'm quite happy to...
Straight in the deep end.
Yeah, I'd rather just go straight in at the top and see what it's like. Because I think MotoGP is such a professional environment. I actually loved being on the... And this is why I feel a bit wiser and older now. I'm 31. Having been on the other side of it, I see why my team managers were pissed off all the time. I see why people were angry. I see why you're not getting an extra set of tyres for a Tuesday morning test. When you see the numbers side of it, it's actually horrifying how much money to just have 12 blokes away from England for a day is horrendous. You've got to get a hotel for everyone. And that's the other thing with MotoGP, you get spanked every single way you go. So you go to Indonesia and you're in Mandalika, it's a tiny little town. You get off, you're like, oh, we'll go for a pizza. There's only one pizza restaurant, and that restaurant has sellotaped over all the old prices, and you've now got European prices on their menu. I think we had a hire car in Indonesia that was €800 for 4 days or 5 days. And this car can't cost 50 quid, but they're charging you €800. You could buy a flipping whatever over there for €800. And so that expense the whole time, going the whole way around the world. And that's just the expense of actually doing it. In between that, you've got a hotel that gets cancelled, or we turn up, you're just booking hotels off booking.com.
I was about to say.
Well, I could show you one in India. We went to this hotel in India, and on India, in Noida it's called, this hotel is 5 stars on Google. Well, these 5 stars have been given by the 5 blokes that work in there. They have just uploaded, they look like AI, these pictures, they're so amazing. And then if you scroll down on that review, it's called Premier Hotel Noida, if you want to look it up. Scroll down on that review, it's all these blokes just they've got their shoes off, just like chilling on the beds. Like the hotel, I did a YouTube video on that at the time, was disgusting. It was the worst thing in the world. But so that whole room that you've booked for 6 blokes for a week, we just had to cancel it because
it was that bad.
It was so bad. There was blood on all of the bed sheets. Like, it was the worst hotel I've ever been. And it was actually set me up for life because nothing is as bad as that will ever be. And India is a crazy place. Like, it's a completely different world, and it's different to how we are here. But that hotel was exceptionally horrendous. I've got a lot of Indian people that commented on the video, and some of them have said that isn't a hotel that you've booked. It's a place that basically facilitates prostitution and drug dealing. And they're just rooms that people open the door, close the door, do whatever they want behind the door, and then open it again. And
Murder and drugs and leave.
Yeah. And that's why those blokes just don't give a shit. Well,
sorry, let's ask the obvious question. Yeah. How much were you paying for this?
I don't actually know, because Michael used to pay the bills, but I don't know how much that one was.
20 quid a night or something.
Did you ever get involved in the finance? Did you have to... Did he set your budgets and stuff like that? You know, if you were booking stuff or that sort of thing?
Michael still booked all of that.
Right.
So it's his fault. That. Yeah. So
he did that for the crack, by the sounds of it. Literally.
Yeah, it's his sort of thing. So I didn't want to get involved in that side of it. I mean, he wanted to do that, so I was happy for him to do that. But yeah, that was just it was a weird experience.
I tell you what's the cheapest MotoGP country, and what's the most expensive MotoGP country?
Most expensive.
I would have what's your guess? I'm going to have a guess Australia. I've never been to Australia, but I can just imagine. Expensive. No, hotels, everything.
Australia's
you know what I mean?
Expensive.
I would go America's probably the most expensive. Cost of living's pretty high out there.
That was expensive too. A lot of the Asian ones are cheap. I mean, it depends. If you go like in the MotoGP area, they're just like
you say, they're putting their own prices on, but they'll still be cheap. For anyone listening, thinking, right, hold on, we've got a man on the inside who knows about the price structure here. And if anyone was on a budget, where could I go watch?
That'd be the better one. Where would you go and watch? What was the best?
What's the cheap? I'm sorry, Northeast lad through and through. I want cheapest.
You want cheapest? I want best.
You can afford it.
I can't afford it.
There's not a bad one to go to. If you've not, anyone you've not been to is they're all good for their own reasons. Le Mans, I absolutely hated Le Mans the first year. It's horrendous. Like I didn't get it. And the second year, the atmosphere. Well, again, we had a rubbish hotel in Le Mans because that's the other thing with MotoGP. There's so many people moving around the world all at once. The MotoGP teams have that many staff that there isn't enough business class seats on all the planes. So we're leaving Malaysia to go to Australia. There's not that many flights out of Sepang that night to get you to Phillip Island. So there's only so many business class seats. So there's people flying all over the world. And when you get to MotoGP tracks, the MotoGP teams have got the biggest budgets. They book the best hotels. So quite quickly it filters out into whatever's left. But Le Mans, the first year we had a bad hotel. The second year we had a good one. And that sort of dictates whether you have a good experience or not, because our Indian experience wasn't particularly nice.
But you've got a hell of a story.
But we've got a very good story. They do say adventures are rarely fun at the time. And that sort of changed it. Whereas other people went to India and that was one of their best ones because they had a 5-star hotel that was amazing. But yeah, I never know what to say when someone says, what's the best one? Indonesia is getting better and better every year. That is an amazing one. You could go there with your missus and kids and have an amazing holiday. Yeah. It's a cool track. It's good to watch at. But they're all good for different reasons. Sachsenring is a crap one as a team because in Moto3 you have to push the bikes under a tunnel. So all the mechanics, or they go over the track actually, so all the mechanics hate it because you're pushing bikes backwards and forwards.
Northwest MotoGP.
It's Cadwell of MotoGP.
Not the northwest of MotoGP.
Yeah.
Have you ever pushed a bike under that tunnel?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, anywhere in Asia they're all cheap generally, and good ones to go to. But all the European ones are good. The Italian ones the first year I was there was actually really quiet because the Rossi effect of Rossi stopping was sort of kicking in. But they've got busier again now. They also put the prices up, which killed them. But now they're coming back and coming cheaper again.
When did Rossi retire?
He's had another kid, hasn't he?
He's had another.
He's been very busy since he stopped.
I think you all have.
Yeah.
But do something with your time.
Oh my good God.
So since then,
I can't get damn Brazilian out of my head.
No, me, mate, you and me both. I'm going to have... Grace is editing that out. We're going to bleep that over. Grace is shaking her head. I can't believe I said damn Brazil. Anywho.
Moving on.
It's a northeast wax. Oh, good God. Ask another question. I've got that in my head now.
So now we've pretty much gone full circle. So now you're back working with Taz again.
Yeah. So...
Hold on.
Yeah. I'm a professional helmet cleaner for my brother. That's what I...
Don't want to make that awkward at all.
No. Yeah. It's always hard when someone says, what do you do for a job? I clean my brother's helmet.
Yeah.
Like, there's no easy way to say that.
You just have to say it now. You just have to say it.
And that was sort of my reason for stopping the GP job as well. Halfway through that year, Taz had an inkling he was going to be in World Superbike the next year. And to be honest, it was amazing the first year of GPs because you go to all these new places every year, every round. But you won't believe how fast, well, you know how fast the season goes. And before you know it, you're back in Argentina in the same restaurant. And the sort of novelty of travelling around the world quite quickly wears off. I think I did since stopping racing, I've done over 200 flights in 2 and a bit years. So it quite quickly mounts up how many flights you do.
And they're not even short. Most of them are, but a lot of them are medium to long haul in
I had an
MotoGP.
app that tracked them, and on this app it tells you how close you've got to the moon. And I'd actually travelled to the moon and a bit.
Holy shit.
Yeah, you're travelling a long way on a plane. So my point basically was the first year was amazing. The second year I kind of thought, well, I've seen all these places now, which is cool. And don't get me wrong, it was an amazing job to do. And I would never, if someone's got that opportunity to do it, I would say go for it. But I do really think it's a single man's game, or someone that doesn't want to be at home or doesn't like their home life. And for me, I love my home life. I've got an amazing girlfriend, an amazing family.
Were you single in the first year?
I was going to say, at what point did you get a missus?
I was single in the first year, and then the second year,
you fell in love. Yeah, she's watching. It's been over a minute now.
I wasn't with her at that time, but I thought, I'm never actually going to have a normal life here. And I sort of stopped racing so I could be a bit more normal and do normal things. And
normal's boring, by the way. Carry on.
Well, everyone's idea of normal is different as well. Mm-hmm. But for me, what I wanted with my life, I did want to have a family at some point. I wanted to settle down. And I realised that's never going to happen. Me and my friend, I won't name his name, but he's still doing that. And it's great as a single person because that's it doesn't matter if you're away for 6 weeks and you come home and you can stay out in between the races. But a lot of the mechanics were coming back to see their missus, because you haven't seen them for 3 weeks and you've got kids at home or whatever, and that made it hard. So Taz said, did I want to do World Superbike with him the next year, just as his assistant for the year? And that was where I thought, that's actually a really good opportunity. One, because I'd missed out on seeing my family for 2 years. And you get homesick when you're away, and you're away just in a hotel room by yourself. And I wanted to be back with my family. We get on so well. I like having a coffee in the morning with them, and I just missed out on that for 2 years. And I was missing out on Taz's racing, which is a massive part of my life still. I still want to see him do well. So he said, do I want to work with him? And I thought, brilliant. I'll still get to travel the 12 rounds of the year, which is half as many as MotoGP, really.
And most in Europe.
Mostly in Europe. You're back home Sunday night or Monday morning. You're not away for 3 weeks in between. And that was a much better balance for me, because I also like doing my video stuff. I like doing loads of different things. My brain doesn't work that I just do one thing and that's it. I like track day instruction, commentating, and I have so many different jobs that I do during the year. And I love that about my life. I don't want to just be a team manager and that's what I do, and I'm away for a year and I come back for a month. So when Taz gave me that opportunity, that freed up a lot of other things. So suddenly I could have a good year doing that. So that's why I did it.
Because you must have been absolutely gutted to miss that. Which race was it when he won the Super Sport?
Yeah, well, that was it.
Which? Go on, educate us. What race was that?
Most.
Yeah, Czech Republic, Most.
I remember my dad out. Lucky for me, I just finished work early, and my dad's like, "Come in here," and my dad's sitting on the sofa, and I think I held my breath for you, bro. I don't know what you were like, your dad, but I was like, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. Because walk me through that scenario. Was it? He went out on dry slicks. Is that right? Am I right in saying that?
The truth behind the story is his mechanic said, "Don't come in," because he didn't know. It wasn't Chris. It was one of the mechanics. He didn't have the facilities to change the wheels, so he said, "Stay out." So by pure not being ready enough, he won the race by that. Obviously, he rode really well and risked it all, and it was not an easy thing to do.
Because the Honda 600 wasn't a race capable of winning race.
Year anyway. He'd gone from being the highs of the high and then on a completely uncompetitive bike, and then to win one was insane, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because I think it's great that he's holding the line and staying out in the world circuit. Yeah. Because it's like it's not being like, you win a British Championship and just, especially in our game, you just think, oh well, the next step's obviously that you're going to be handed everything.
Yeah.
He's just been chipping away, and he's holding his gun, because it would be easy. Well, hold on. This is me saying it from the outside. But in theory, it would be easy for him to come back to BSB.
Yeah.
Is that a fair comment from both of you, or?
I don't know if easy is the right word, but the logical thing to do maybe would be to go back to BSB, do a year. I'm not getting results, go back. But that's, if you did that through your career and you just avoided anything that was hard, you would never get anywhere. That's why good people are good, because when it gets hard, like Marquez, we go back to him, but he could have easily just gone, do you know what? I've won a million MotoGP races. I don't need to come back. Oh, by the way, you've got to break your arm to put it back on straight. You just go, do you know what? I'll just not do that. Whereas he's gone, I'm going to break my arm, put it back on straight, and let's have another go. And in a year's time, if he wins the MotoGP championship, everyone will be going, what a legend. But 12 months ago, 2 years ago, people were going, he's an idiot. Why don't you just stop? Why is he even bothering crashing that bike? And I'm not saying Taz, we don't know what Taz will do, but the easy thing would have been, this got hard. 600s. He could have done 3 rounds on that 600 and gone, why am I doing this? This is hard. But now he's won a world championship race because he stuck that out for a year. And then, again, last year was very difficult. It was a hard year for him. But he's got the opportunity to go again. And this year his bike should be better. It should have more support from Honda. And he'll have a much better opportunity at sticking his nose in and seeing where we can end up. And if you're not constant, in my mind anyway, if you're not constantly trying to move yourself forward, then what's the point? He's proved that he can win a British Championship in Superbike. He's been there and done it, and there's no stopping him coming back in 5 years and doing that again if that's what he wants to do.
You alluded to it before about how you can have a good year and a bad year, and it's not your fault, because we're almost like jockeys. If you get on a good or a bad horse, it makes them almost all the difference. Not completely all the difference, but
it's part of the puzzle, isn't it?
Have you?
It is, yeah.
But then do you see, because you've had the rider's hat and the team manager's hat, do you see things that within the team and you think, maybe do something a bit different, or because obviously that team's reasonably well funded and everything, do you think they will get there eventually?
Yeah, it's a tricky one for me to answer live on a podcast.
Don't.
Well, I honestly think is that all of the pieces of the puzzle are there. Mick Shanley's an amazing crew chief.
I was about to say,
won the
he's on
Superbike
board, yeah.
Championship. He's really clever guy. Midori, who owns a team and runs a team, is amazing. She's spent a huge amount of money in the sport. Really clever and really intelligent woman.
Because she's one of the Morawakis, isn't she?
Yeah, Midori Moriwaki, yeah. And they proved that when they won a World Supersport race. Like, it's all in there. And motorbike racing isn't as simple as let's buy some bikes, go racing and we'll win.
Nope.
You can have all the pieces there, and sometimes it just takes a bit of time to figure out where they all go. And I think last year was a year of doing that. I'd be very surprised if Taz's year is exactly the same as last year. I think it'll be much, much better, but we don't want to say that. We don't want to jump ahead of the gun. And the other thing is, in motorbike racing, a year ago everyone said Toprak was mad for riding a BMW.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Now everyone wants to ride a BMW.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it changes that fast. The Honda's the same. It was like, well, no one wants to ride the Honda. Well, in 12 months' time, if Taz and Xavi Vierge and Lecuona are having a good ride, suddenly they'll all want to jump on a Honda. It's like Ducati and Moto GP. No one wanted to ride that bike, and now everyone wants to ride it. So sometimes it's just a bit of timing as well. And Honda have made a big effort next year to make their bike better. They got some new parts. At the end of last year, Xavi and Iker were creeping towards the front. They had a podium. So there's no saying you're going to get on that same horse and it's going to be the same next year. It's all changing, and I'd love it to be as simple as if you ride that bike, you win. I'd also love it to be that simple that you could choose which bike you wanted to ride. It's not that simple. There's so many good riders in World Superbike. There's not enough good bikes for them all to ride. So sometimes you have to sit and wait.
I was just going to say, World Superbikes, it's quite a small field, but the talent now in it is absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
And like I look at times and I see the times that Taz and Brad were doing last year, and they weren't towards the front because of the packages they were on, in my opinion, because I know how talented they both are. But if you look at the times, then you reference it, like Donington's the easy one because we both go there, and you go like, oh my God, they'd win our race by 15, 20 seconds or something. So the times are still super fast. It just doesn't look the same because
exactly.
Because of the field they're in.
Yeah. I mean, Tommy and Kyle showed that at the end of the year when you think Kyle, you watch him in that BSB race, you think, well, he's just going to run at the front of World Superbike. Yeah. But it's just not that easy. It doesn't work like that. And that really shows the level. I mean, Tommy was the same. Tommy came, I think, ready to show what he can do. And it's just not that easy. They're so fast in World Superbike. Taz and Brad have both said it to me that when they first did their first wildcard, Taz said about Toprak when he did his first wildcard with Yamaha, he said to me, do you know what I've realised? He just rides the fucking wheels off that bike. Like, he just rides it so hard. And that's it. They're the best of the best. Toprak should be a MotoGP, if we're being honest.
I agree, absolutely.
So you're racing a MotoGP level rider in one of the most best funded teams with everything behind him, the factory of BMW behind him, and that's who you're competing against. And sometimes Taz is less than a second off him. It's not like
that's incredible. When you put it like that, that is
yeah. And that's how close it is, and that's how tight it is. And then say you finish 12th, you think, oh well, 12th doesn't sound great. 12th in that field.
If you look at the people you're next to as well,
they'll get close to Johnny Ray. Yeah. Johnny Ray will be just in front, or it'll be wet and Taz is in front of them, and you just think it's so easy to sit at home behind a keyboard and go, why doesn't you just do BSB? But it's not the reality of what we're sat in a track, like, listening to it and seeing everything that goes into it, and it's just not that easy, unfortunately.
What I want to know is, how difficult was the negotiations?
With my brother?
Yes.
I wish there was one. It was, do you want to come because you're getting this? And that was it. There was no, do you want more? There was no, they were just like, I'll pay you this if you come. So that was it. Signed for £1 million. And
does he
1.2 next year.
Does he get extra leg room on the Ryanair flight? And
well, there's not a lot of point, is there?
He doesn't need it.
Exactly. He just sits in row 30. Extra leg room.
Is it like, obviously you get on so well, but you know, being so close. Yeah, I feel like you've already answered the question. That really doesn't bother you. The fact of like actually being that family member, Would that be a hindrance at all in some ways?
I get this a lot where people go, "Oh, you're not jealous of your brother, like, do you not?" But I quickly realised when I was not that old, I thought, if I get angry about him doing well, I'm going to be pretty angry for my whole life. And
it's a good point.
And so I could get pissed off because some brothers are like that. There's a lot of brothers in racing that get really pissed off when the other one's doing better than them. But I just switched that part of my brain off because as kids, we were the most competitive kids. We'd race up the stairs. It was annoying to be his brother, and he'd be annoyed at me. Everything was a race. And that was completely my dad's fault because that's how he used to get us to do stuff when we were kids. If he wanted us to brush our teeth, he'd go, "I'll time you to get up the stairs," and everything was against the clock. So probably where all this...
He's taking notes, him.
I need another one, don't I, to race against him. That's what I need.
Nicola,
now.
brace yourself.
Yeah.
This is
You're going to get the best 2 minutes of your life when I get home.
Nicholas, I've got the clock. See how long it takes you, Christian.
And that is what is the difference. Moving on.
To this.
Oh, so, Grace, clock the time. This documented Nicola will be pregnant in 5 hours. 2 minutes. Oh my God.
Covered it all on this pod.
Oh, you got to. Therapy session.
You've been through all this. Do you want... Because I'm going through this... Like, Toby's just got a Revy for Christmas. He's 2.5.
You make it sound... Hold on. Christian, you're making that sound like an accident. Oh, yeah, Santa just dropped this off. You
I
bought
didn't
your
know
kid a
anything
Revy.
about it. I just it was under the tree.
He's got the extra big battery, by the way. The full
Honestly,
power battery.
So, I ordered this Revy, and I was like... And the guy's like, "Oh, do you want the extra battery?" I was like...
I'll have to.
Yes. And he's like, "Oh, they do some upgraded handlebars." Yeah, I need them. And then literally I got to the point where I went, if it's an upgrade, I need it. He's got like his own graphics. He's got the matching stand with graphics on Turbo Toby and everything.
Have you got a photo of that? You're going to have to show me that.
Yeah,
You
I'll
must
send
do.
it to
That
Grace.
sounds
It looks
mega.
mint. And all he wanted to do was play with his Paw Patrol fucking thing. It was £3. I spent £500 deep already. He's got a full set of Alpine Star kit, like honestly,
Shut up,
top
man.
to toe, everything. And he wants to play Paw Patrol. I was devastated. Anyway, but I have actually had the thought process in my own head already of like, do I even want to give him the option of going racing? Because there's so many other sports that you can get the same like winning enjoyment or whatever enjoyment you get out of it without the financial ruin for the parents.
Yeah.
And obviously the pain if you've crashed or, like some of the being away a lot. There's a lot of other sports you could do if you want them into sport, which I personally think is mint. Without a lot of the other sides.
My answer is I'd absolutely love them to be into a sport, but I honestly don't think motorbike racing it's becoming less and less financially viable. If you think about what you had to invest in use me as an example, what my dad had to invest in me up to being 16, 17 years old, that same dad now, here's an example.
Do you have an idea what sort of, so not just your parents, but let's say parents and sponsorship, do you know what sort of, can you put a figure on
horrifying figures here?
Go for it.
So Superstock in 2016, in 2015 I had a horrendous year when a bike set on fire. So that following year I said, next year I don't care what we do, but I want to be on a bike that I know can win the championship and give it one. That was actually my first time of thinking I'm going to give this one last shot, and I won the championship that year. That ride cost £30,000. If you want that same ride now, that's $100,000, if not more, in Superstock. That's what people are paying.
Yeah.
So, and in 2021, that was also part of my decision. I could see it was going that way, and I thought, I don't want to have to find money if I have an off season and I've got to find $100,000 to race in Superstock. That's just not. I don't want to have to pay to do my job because I just don't think it's right. In the junior championships now so you have Moto 3. Below that is the Junior GP Championship. Below that is the European Talent Cup. So this is for kids that I think are 14 years old, 14 to 16, and then Junior GP is 16 to 18. At 14 to 16, those parents are paying over $100,000 a year just to get on the grid in that championship. So you've got a 14-year-old that to get him to that point, you've actually already had to live in Spain with him for however many years. And I know of kids that their dads have done 50 flights this year, taking them backwards and forwards to Spain. I dread to think how much money they're spending. And that's not their fault. They're just doing it because that is the right thing to do. You're already at a disadvantage because the kids in Spain just live at the track.
Yeah.
So they're not going backwards and forwards on Ryanair, they're just already there. But say you've done that and you've invested whatever that costs, I dread to think what that costs. Then you get to 14. So now you've got to put 100 grand in when they're 14. They're 15, you've got to put another 100 grand in. So now you're 200 grand deep. And now you've won that championship, so that's great. So now you can ride in junior GP. Well, those rides are 200 to 250 grand for the good rides at the front of that championship. So now we're on to 200 grand a year. So now we're 16, they're 200 grand a year, 17, they're 200 grand a year. So brilliant. We're probably getting close to £1 million already. And we're not even in Moto 3 yet, if that's what you want to do. And then Moto 3, a lot of those kids, this was one thing that horrified me in the end of the second year when we had contract negotiations for riders that were floating about, and none of these rides that I'm talking about actually came to fruition. But there was kids walking around with 300 grand, 400 grand to buy a ride in Moto 3, and that's just to get yourself on the grid. So now you're like 1.5 million. By the time, so say your ride costs 300 grand and your dad wants to come with you, it costs him 50 grand just to fly in a plane with you around the world and buy his hotels, more or less 25, 50 grand. So for me, I'm sat here thinking I haven't got 1.5 million to get my kid to Moto 3. Definitely not. And not that you ever do motorbike racing to make money, because that's not why any of us did it. We just did it because we enjoyed riding bikes. But it's not even that now. It's, have you got 1.5 million just to go racing?
Yeah.
And the only other way around that, which is possible, and there are kids doing this, is you scrape your money together to the British Talent Cup, you win that, you get a seat in the Red Bull Rookies, which is free to ride in that. You just have to pay for your travel to get there. And the winner of that will be given a Moto 3 ride. And it's the same in junior GP. There's kids at the front of that dawn of support, that give them a little bit of help, that get them into that. So it's not to say that every kid there has spent 1.5 million, but it's getting that way. And there's going to be a lot of kids that miss out because of that. And I don't like that about our sport, because it's turning into car racing, and that's what the car racing world is, where you'll have kids that, and don't get me wrong, I don't think there's any kid that's got anywhere in motorbike racing that hasn't had to spend some money, because it's the most expensive thing to get into. You play football, you just have some football boots. But I don't like that about our sport, and I really don't know how that even stops. I just think that's where it's going to go.
I don't know, is there even a way to ever fix that? Because I think the big thing is, once you've got, let's say, a kid with 300 grand, and let's say they're not the most talented kid there, that will almost certainly stop the talented kid with no money from getting a seat.
And this is where I hate my brain now, because I've been on the other side of it. So when I was racing, I thought, why did they not pick me? Like, I'm better than him. And then, but that team's took that money, or they took a different rider. Then you're on the team manager side, and you think, flipping heck, he's got 300 grand or 400 grand.
And he's only a tenth of a second slower.
Yeah, that fixes a lot of my headaches. And you could say the teams are being lazy, but flipping heck, are the teams, they'd be stupid to turn that money down, because if that kid's paying for the other kid, or as racing sort of worked like that for a number of years, that the second rider might be paying for the first ride, and that's fine. But Moto 3, it's over £1 million for the year to get. And those figures are out there. It's not just me.
No. That's
Michael has been on and said.
I tell you what,
he spoke through it.
The amount of guests that it's actually nice to hear that the figures,
scary numbers,
like marry up. If you know what I mean.
I'd look real stupid if they did.
No, not at all. But everyone's in the same ballpark, and it's still shocking to hear every time it's said on the show. It's just like,
I remember you were quoted some big numbers, weren't you, to get into to do Moto 3?
Yeah. Well, even then in 2011, the cheapest ride was 150 grand, and I had a contract for 2 years, and the second year of it, everything moved to Moto 3, and when it moved to Moto 3, all the rides doubled, so they all went to 300 grand. And I've heard, I won't name his name, but I know a team manager that said they won't have anyone in their team unless they bring 300 grand, because if you don't have riders that bring in money, there's only so much space on the bike, and you've got to find a serious company that's got £1 million to blast on a Moto 3 team. So really, you need a few people giving you 50 grand, giving you 100 grand to pad the bike out. Because the problem we have with our sport, which I've also heard, is big, like huge international companies don't want to sponsor motorbike racing because it's not green, it's not eco-friendly, it's not woke, it's not in the middle, it's probably at the wrong end of that. And it's really dangerous, so there could be potential negative publicity. So you have to find a bike fan at the top of one of these companies that wants to get involved in that wants to back that. And I think that's a lot of the time, don't get me wrong, at MotoGP, these companies are getting huge exposure, but in Moto3, it's less. And so that's where these problems arise. And that's where you've got kids that have either got a dad that wants to spend the money, or you've got a dad that's got a mate that's got a load of money that wants to help their kid. And that's where that sort of comes into it.
So little Mackenzie turns up,
Yeah,
and says to you,
I think I've answered my own question. He's not racing. That's,
but how do, I don't know, but that's the thing. Obviously,
Yeah.
you've confirmed that through the pricing side of it, and it's
Yeah.
literally money. But what happens if he goes, but Dad, please, can I be on a bike?
Just pick up this dart, would you?
Aye, see that fat lad?
throwing that
17.
on board.
Let's go to the pub.
Yeah.
How much did he earn? How much did he earn?
500 grand. Not that I was watching. But honestly, I was talking
Never
to Taz about
17 though,
this.
is he?
He's not 17. But I said to Taz, the amount of effort a MotoGP rider has to go through to earn 500 grand or throw a few darts.
But that's kind of what I meant before. Like I said, I had that thought process in my head. You know, like there's all these risks and financial things and blah blah blah, and then you could do. Maybe I wouldn't potentially pick darts, but you know, there's a lot of other things where.
Yeah, like mountain biking or like, mountain biking is a cool sport. I'd love my kid. I would love him to play lots of different sports, ride mountain bikes. I want him. I'm no good at jumping anything, and I think I'm going to get him into jumping things because I don't want him to get to 31 and start attempting ski jumps like me. But that's just not the time to be learning it. So I'm going to get him in the air from an early age. I think gymnastics or something. But yeah, I think sport. That's what I have this sort of fight in my head. And me and my brother have both said it. If we have kids, we didn't want them to race, but racing has also given us the best life ever. We've been around the world, seen amazing things. I learned more in my first 2 years of racing than I ever would have at university.
Yeah.
By the time my friends were outside university, I felt like I was so much further ahead, not financially, but in life, like understanding money, teams, people, that side of it. You can't learn that other than being in the racing world. And so I struggle with, I don't know what I would get them into, but I think sport, it has so many good elements because it teaches you to be disciplined, it teaches you to make sacrifices, and I think without sport, I don't know how you instill that in someone. So I love sport, I love everything about it, but motorbike racing is becoming more difficult. And
even yourself, like you've obviously been through the university of life, we pretty much alluded to it, but like you said, you didn't really have any qualifications, but you've had all these experiences, you've done all this stuff, and now I guess you're arguably as busy as ever because yes, you're working with your brother, going all that, but you've got like brand associations going on, you're doing track days with BMW, you're doing, you know, you've got a lot going on.
Yeah.
YouTube channel.
Yeah, well, that was another thing I sort of realised when I stopped racing. Although I didn't have any qualifications, I'd actually managed a lot of money in trying to find sponsors. I'd done social media through promoting myself, trying to get money in that way. I'd learned how to edit videos. I'd learned how to speak on camera. I'd learned how a team works and everything about a team. I'd learned about how a rider's contract works. So I've done contracts and stuff like that. And suddenly I realised I might not have any written qualifications, but the amount of stuff that I've actually learned through the years, that there's not many jobs outside the building world that, like I thought about at the time, that Vision Track was the title sponsor of the team, and I thought if he asked me to do a job in sales or something, I could probably do that because I know how to speak to people, I know what would get them excited or how to talk to people, and racing's given me all of that. So it is an amazing thing that it does that to you, and that's what I love now, that I get to use all these things that I've learned over the years.
And I think one of the most powerful messages that you put across, and it's blunt, that you're not scared to say no. You know, you've discussed the challenges of saying no, how it has been difficult, but it's even, I want to allude back to the YouTube element, and even to a point where I remember watching your episode that you decided, tell everyone that you wanted to roll back from that because you got, in your own words, it became a numbers game for you.
Yeah.
Are you proud that you've rolled off from that?
Yeah, all of that's been that YouTube's a funny thing as well because again, what we were talking about earlier, you always want to do more and be better and be faster. So you put that in the YouTube world, which is then what I did. So I started off, I got 500 views, then I got 1,000. I thought, I'll be so happy when I get to 1,000 subscribers. Then I got 1,000 subscribers, like, all I need now is 10,000. Then you get 10,000. Then you think, if I get to 25,000, then I'll be happy. And then at that point, I was not getting that many views. And then the next thing, one of my videos got 100,000 views, like, all I need now is 500,000 views, and then that'll be mad. So then I got to the point where I got 400,000 views, and then the next video got 4,000, and I was like, oh, hang on a minute. And then I realised I'm just playing an infinite game here that never ends, that I'm just constantly chasing the next amount and the next amount. And that was where I had this reality check, and I thought, I need to stop doing that because it's not healthy. You're never going to win. There's always going to be someone with more views. There's always going to be a video that goes more viral. And I think as well, this is my big wise old head now, and it's really cheesy and cringy thing to say, but I really enjoy the journey of everything now. Whereas when I was racing, it was all about the destination. It was, I need to win that championship, and if I don't win it, I'm not going to be happy. Whereas now, I could be unhappy if a video didn't get very many views, but now I absolutely love filming it. I love editing it. I love travelling with my brother. And it's the same with his racing. All right, we didn't get the results we wanted to last year, but we travelled around the world together, an amazing time.
The journey was as much fun as the...
And that is, it's the...
I guess the result was maybe a bonus on the end if you got it.
Exactly, it's great
mindset.
if it does, but it doesn't have to be that. If you try and take the small wins out of everything, and I think that's why I'm a lot more positive and a lot more happy about everything now, because that's how I try to live my life.
Would you say Taran's attitude is the same as yours? Would you say you've gone through this journey the same? Is he still as competitive when he was racing when you quit, if you know what I mean? Or are you still going along the journey together now?
We're definitely...
Is he waking up every morning looking out the window, like on a Tuesday going, fuck, this is going to affect me race?
No, I've not long ago had this conversation with him where he's I don't know if anyone's read The Secret and the Laws of Attraction, but that's what we're into. It's basically putting things out there, and it's a bit woo-woo and say what you want about it, but that's what we've done. We've written goals down in our lives, and the weirdest thing in all this thing is 2018 I wrote on a piece of paper, I'll travel the world with Taran racing motorbikes, and I had no idea what that meant at the time. I just wrote it down, and now I'm traveling around the world while he's racing World Superbike, and he's done the exact same. We both wrote our goals down, and he sent a video the other day of the sheet of paper that said, I'll be living in Andorra with a British Superbike Championship trophy, and I can't remember what the third one was. And he literally videoed out his window in Andorra, videoed his British Superbike trophy, and he really said, I need to just take a step back and be grateful for what I've done, because you could just be unhappy that you're not winning in World Superbike, or you can be amazingly happy that you've won a British Superbike Championship and got yourself to World Superbike. And I think you really have to be grateful that, I mean, this is turning into a real therapy session.
It's great. Do you
think the pair of you are able to bring each other back to earth then? Because like my mum's always been good for it, but like I think that most sports people do struggle with that. Like, we do achieve goals, or sometimes you achieve goals, but when you do, we rarely appreciate the achievement of the goal, and you just move on to, even if there was never one beyond it, you just make a brand new one.
Well, yeah, and exactly that. This year someone commented saying, after one of his races, because I don't know what it is with Facebook at the minute, but it just seems like it's just
full of dickheads.
It's just angry. Like, everyone's angry. I guess the world's an angry place at the minute.
Oh, it's just, don't go near Twitter then.
And I
deleted mine.
Yeah,
I do not go on Twitter now.
I still have my account, but I don't go on it. Mm-hmm. And Facebook's the same. And it's fine now I don't race, because I can look at things and laugh at them, and it doesn't bother me. And it doesn't bother Taz, but we still look at them and laugh. And one of them was like, oh, another shit day for you. And I just said, I looked at her and said, yeah, better to have a shit day in Italy than laugh. It's true, isn't it? Like, that's the truth.
Other locations are available.
Yeah. Sorry. No, it's not hate on that.
Peter Hickman's listening to this going, what are you fucking on about?
No, Peter Hickman's deleting that comment.
Yeah, I just had some bad races at Cadwell. That's where life rings in.
That's it, yeah.
And it's true. We should just appreciate life a bit more, and we're all very lucky to do what we do.
No, it's good. No, that's really good to hear, because you're on the same path, but two different parts of the journey. But it's nice that the attitude mirrors off each other.
Yeah,
it's because you actually went, I'm not enjoying them. You went cold turkey. You stopped. Taran continued, but you've actually matured at the same time.
Yeah,
and it's bloody I could tear up. It's bloody refreshing, really. You know what I mean?
We do always say with Taz, his career is just a product of all the mistakes we made with my one. His is just a better version, and that's why he's been more successful. Because look, you've never seen his bike set on fire, have you?
No,
that's all I'm saying.
No. No, but it's just, I know it's turned into a bit of a therapy session, this, but it's nice because I think we've all done it in sport in general, but you just get to a point of near snap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when that snap comes, I think you could so easily just go hit the fucking button and just go sell everything. Don't pick up your phone again and just disappear.
Yeah.
And I think you very, very, very closely have come to that near point, but you've brought it back.
Well, a few times I'd snap like that, but I still wouldn't let myself give up. And that was where I probably made myself more ill, because I was like, in 2015 I was at that point, and I thought,
That's actually a big shock to hear, really.
Yeah.
Because 15 up to a point of like 21 when you've packed in.
Yeah.
That's a lot of years.
I kept saying, I'm not giving up until I get to a certain point. I'm not giving up. And that, I think that not being able to escape from it at the time, I didn't know that, but that sort of like digging in mentality was probably it was the reason I kept going, the reason I had more success, but it was also the reason I was making myself ill, because I was like, I can't stop this whole thing. But I do think in racing, we're all a victim of, we need another win, we need another this. And it's easy for me to sit here and say, because I'm not racing, it doesn't matter to me now, but we should just be grateful you get to race motorbikes, you get to enjoy these things. Because sometimes I wasn't enjoying it. And I think now I look at some of the bikes I rode, if someone gave me that bike to ride now, I'd be like, that's amazing, I get to ride this brand new. I remember 2021, I rode it was the first year of the BMW M1000, and we turned up to Darley Moor on it, and I just remember thinking, this is a piece of shit. Nothing works. Like, this isn't good. And I'm looking at it thinking it's a 50 grand bike that it's spent all winter, and don't get me wrong, it turned into an amazing bike. And I will just say, as a BMW brand ambassador, that bike turned into an amazing bike. But when we first turned up at Darley Moor, I thought, why am I riding this? Like, the 2020 bike was so good. Like, I was flying on that, and now we've got this, and it's got wings, and it should be amazing, but all the electronics need figuring out first. And now when I look back, I think, I can't believe I looked at a 50 grand bike and thought,
So
this piece of shit. But that's what it's like when you're racing. That's what it becomes. You're obsessed with the next thing and the next thing, and it's, yeah, that's where I've got more appreciation for everything.
That's mint. You mean you've done so much, like you've got so many caps that you've won at only 31. Like, have you got anything you do want to do in your life outside of racing, or do you think you'll just carry on sort of like doing different jobs within the paddock?
What's on the bucket list?
Well, so,
and it doesn't even have to be anything to do with racing, does it?
The bucket list. What's obviously?
well, do you know what I got for Christmas was a chanter. And
What?
A chanter is the thing that you practice before you play the bagpipes. So perhaps I will learn to play the bagpipes. That's on my list of learning to play the bagpipes.
I've just thought of the most important question of this podcast. Are you taking your missus to Scotland for the day?
I'm trying to think of a funny answer. I can't think of one. No, it'll be in England. She'll be in Derby, unfortunately. She's going to be a Derby child. It was Derby or Burton, and we've picked Derby.
There you are. I just thought you might have kept the Mackenzie
bottle.
No, you know what I mean? I thought it might be the Mackenzie trip going, we water's broke, don't worry.
No.
I've got
In the car.
I'll just put this out. I'll put this out to the public domain. Jack Burnicle started that on TV, that my dad drove my mum over the border to have a sport. That isn't true. Like, we lived in Scotland. But for years my dad gets a ribbon about that. But we are Scottish. We did live in Scotland. I just lost my accent when we moved back down here. So no, I won't be driving my missus. I mean, we could try it and see what she says.
She's like, oh God, I wish we could record that conversation later on. Yeah. The lads came up with an idea in the podcast. Do you fancy living in Scotland in a few months?
She's pretty easy going, my missus. I reckon I could talk around to that.
Get it done, please.
Yeah. We'll see. I'll let
Just
you
for
know.
the story, mate. You're about the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
But this destination is Scotland. Knockhill, ideally. What's it? Dunfermline. If you can go straight to...
Yeah, I can see it now.
Get it done. No, I'm actually flicking through questions from the patrons
You actually
here.
said that one of our one of the Chasin the Racing patrons was your carpet fitter.
I need to... Mole, he is...
Nice.
I've fitted a carpet with him. He was going to actually help me do a house up recently, so shout out to Mole. He's a long-term Patreon member as well.
Well, shout out to our Patreons.
Michael Harrison. Do you know if Honda have made any developments with the Moto 3 bike to bring it closer to the KTM, as they seem to have a better package at present?
See, yeah. Well, in answer to that, the year before this year, Honda won the World Championship, which is, people forget. Like, Masia won the World Championship on the Honda. And we get this whole thing, though. Don't get me on Moto 3 horse now, because I'm going to get angry. But... those bikes are very, very similar. Yes, the KTM is better generally off the corners. It stops a little bit better, but the Honda is really good in
You can hear the Honda coming up in the background here.
By the way, if anyone's heard any background noise, Taylor's new
lives
build
on a building
literally
site.
such a new build that they're still bringing in the bricks.
They're just
We're
finishing off
living
the
the
West
foundations.
That's his porch just being done
Yeah.
now. That's the...
No,
You've got to go over the top there. You've got to
But-
go over the top.
in answer to that, Honda every year at the end of our first year, they brought updates to the bike the year after. I would say riders would choose the KTM if they could choose the bike to be on, but the bikes are so similar. This was the one thing that I found bizarre about Moto3, having been out of it for 10 years. When I did 125s, we'd be like, I wish I had this cylinder, I wish we had that piston, I wish we had that. And our bikes were like 10 k's apart or 15 k's apart. I'd be on a straight and a bike would absolutely like rip your stickers off. Moto3 now, we've come into this world, like, we just forget that all the Hondas and all the KTMs are so similar. They get randomly allocated their engines. There's no, I've got a good engine, he's got a bad engine. They're just randomly allocated between the teams. And we're talking like 2Ks or 3Ks difference a lot of the time between these bikes. And it's nothing. It's like that. So I know racing's all about fine margins, but that's why the racing's so close in Moto3. That's why they have these huge chains, because it's hard for people to get away a lot of the time because the bikes are so similar. And there's only so much you're allowed to change as a team. So the best teams are the best at extracting that tiny little bit out of it, and they are still the best teams. But it's not like in Superbike where you'll go, oh, he's got a new swing arm or they've got a new frame this year. Like, it's a Moto3 bike, it's a 250 single cylinder bike. Like, there's only so much you can do with it. It's not like this year KTM are going to turn around and go, oh well, you should see, I don't know, it just doesn't work like that. So it's so similar. I mean, in Moto3, John McPhee rode the bikes that we had in the Petronas colours. So we bought, well, I didn't buy it. Michael and the team bought the Petronas outfit, and that was why we got going so quickly as a team, because everything was like, it was like a pre-built team that we just stuck our stickers on it in effect. John McPhee's lap times that year, 2 years later, were still fast enough to be at the front. He went faster on an older version of the bike than we did in 2 years. That's how good John was. And
so you knew that those bikes were capable of a...
Yeah, because that was the easy thing to do. You look at those lap times, you think, well, it did that last year.
Direct
it did
comparison.
That before. So, and we had all their data, so we could easily compare everything. So it was really good in that sense. And now we improved the bike over the 2 years. Austin Exhaust gave some new exhaust. We made different developments throughout the 2 years. Leopard started helping the team a bit more. I think they help them even more now with support. But yeah, those, like John McPhee's times from then in 2021 were still fast in 2023 and still faster. We'd get to tracks and you still have the lap record or the fastest ever lap around that track or the fastest speed. So it's not like we get to 2025 and suddenly they're going to come out with a new Moto 4 bike. It's the same. It's just, there's not much difference.
No, but good question, though. Very good question. But I'll tell you what, side question, you've mentioned him, John McPhee.
Yeah.
Stepping up in class to British superbikes.
Yeah.
Is that a fair? That's a fair.
Stepping across.
Stepping across. But no,
I
but
think
like
it's
power
weird, isn't
class
it?
wise.
With
Power
racing,
class
it's
wise.
kind of odd because almost every move is a sidestep rather than
Yeah, but I mean, like, you're going from Moto3s and then he was in Supersport last year, is that right?
Yeah, World Supersport.
World Supersports, and now he's going up into the 1000cc of
in terms
British
of power,
Superbikes. In terms of power. So how do you...
I think John will be... I think John is massively underrated as a rider because he's won 4 Grand Prix. And how many riders in our country have won 4 Grand Prix? Well, my country, Scotland. In the UK, how many British riders have won 4 Grand Prix in the last 50 years, 100 years? There's not that many. So he's massively underrated in that respect. And if you actually look at his world, and I will say that I sort of had something to do with his riding BSB because Steve Hicken was talking to me and I said, well, John McPhee's free and put them in touch. So I'd like to think they had my little part to play. If it all works out, if it didn't,
You got
it's
commission.
nothing to do with me. But John, if you look at him in World Supersport last year, his teammate a lot of the time was Baldassari. He had Stephen Odendahl in there and he smokes them every week.
Yeah.
And they've been world champion or fought for world championships and won world championship races. But John, because he was not on the best package, I don't think, and they had all sorts going on in the background of that team. I won't get into that. But John remained professional throughout it. I think he is a really good rider. By no means is it easy to get to BSB. We all know it's one of the hardest championships in the world. We've seen amazing riders come across and find it difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But John did learn all the tracks when he was a kid, so it's not like he's new to a lot of the tracks. The hardest thing will be learning how to ride a superbike, but he does also have 5 months to get up to speed. I think Steve Hicken's one of the best team managers for John, having ridden for Steve. he's all about riding. He wants you out every weekend. John will be riding more than anyone or as much as anyone. And even if it's just at Mallory Park, you're still learning all the time. So given the right amount of time on the bike and being able to dig in and do it, it's all there to do it. But having said that, it is still extremely difficult to do it. But I do hope it works out. I think he is good.
No, I hope it works. We just want to get never get a cat in the bag there and start rattling around there.
I think it's brilliant for the series, if I'm honest. I just think it's just great. I think I like John for one. I really think he's a nice lad. And then I just think it's great for the series. We needed someone fresh to come in.
I agree, definitely.
And yeah, someone who can win in the Moto GP paddock is unbelievably talented rider. So yeah, I think he's going to be. It's just in a case of, in my opinion, it's just
when it clicks.
Adaptation. That's the period of difficulty. Yeah. It's not a talent question. It's just how long does it take to adapt, because they're so different.
Because the BSB testing program, proper superbike time starting late March. Hold on, is it Navarra?
I've got like a countdown. It's like 96 days to the first test.
96 days, but
I don't know what month that puts us in. I don't really work on that kind of thing.
But in the same breath, he doesn't have a huge amount of adaptation time, if you know what I mean, to do it. So, but like I say, I'm not denying.
As Taylor said, Steve Hicken will have him out at Guadix for sure,
but
and somewhere
on stocks
else,
and stuff like that. But I mean, actually riding his full-blown superbike, it's not like he can go out and
that's
go to the other side of the planet right now, you know, in the southern hemisphere, and just go right lap. It's still. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. It's just about the timing that it's going to take for him to click with it. But it's not actually it's not a lot of time before it gets going.
No.
You know what I mean? No. So it's a big challenge.
Mick Strickland asked, how quickly do you think Brad Rail will adjust to get back into BSB following his move back from World Superbike?
I would say he's already adjusted.
Yeah.
He did a test at Almeria and I think he was fast straight away.
Really?
It'll be really interesting to see actually, but I really think Brad's moved on as a rider in the last 2 years. Taz did it when he went to Moto 2. It is like being in the hardest school of racing in the world. You race against Moto 2 riders. Brad raced against Top Rack for 2 years. He raced against Johnny Ray. If you look at him, Cremona this year, he's like 5th at the start of the race, riding around on not the best bike. But it will be interesting to see how that translates to BSB. There's only so fast you can go at the BSB tracks. It's not like the lap times move on every year, but I think he's a lot more rounded as a rider. He was incredibly strong when he won the championship.
Yeah.
But I don't see him being any less strong.
Who's your pick between... They've actually got... I don't know if it was Yamaha or BSB put some stats out the other day between Kyle and Brad, and it was super similar in terms of like race starts, race wins, podiums. If it was just them two in the championship, because obviously there's a lot of other lads, so we're not even going to bother mention because you'll be there forever if you want to pick a winner or whatever. Between Brad and Kyle, because obviously they're on the same bike, same team.
Do you know? And I hope Kyle. I don't think Kyle will mind me saying this. Up until last year, I'd have picked Brad because I think Brad's put more solid seasons together and fought harder. But at the end of last year, I think Kyle finally grew the last few feathers on his wings.
Something changed, didn't it? Something changed.
And going into those last 2 races, what he did in the last race, that was incredible. And I think Kyle's had that level of confidence in other classes, in Moto 3 classes or junior classes and Super Sport, but I don't think he ever had that level of confidence in Superbike to believe in himself and back himself. He has at points during his career when he's confident, when it's going well, but when it was going not well at that last round, he still dug in. That the wet race was impressive. That he found
very
his last few
I
points.
texted him after that race and I was like, that is the best race I've ever seen you do, actually. Cause I actually said, when you need to, you can ride in the wet.
Yeah.
Because even like 3 or 4 rounds ago, we'd had a wet race and he was like, not last clearly, but like nowhere near the front. And then all of a sudden he dug in. Actually, in that race, like you said, he went forwards, didn't he? It was I think that was the championship deciding, even though it wasn't the deciding race. It was the deciding race.
Yeah. I think it's hard to pick between, and they're both really good friends. I wouldn't like to pick,
but you have to pick.
Yeah, but you have to pick.
You might not like to, but you've got to.
As I hope Christian wins.
Thank you. I'll take that.
You fucking cop out. You've got a job here to do, and it's push him into the answers. I'll take that.
Come on.
Who would I pick? I mean, I honestly can't pick one. It's not.
It is so hard.
I'd just be picking one for the sake of it, and I think on their day either of them could win it, but it's hard.
There's so many other variables as well, isn't there? It's not just about.
But at the Almira, I was lucky. I was there with James Hillier, and obviously with them lads on the other side of the garage. Kyle didn't ride the superbike at the Almira test. He was just on his own R6 and just having a bit of fun on that side of things. But it was Brad and Joe Talbot. Joe's blending very, very well with that Yamaha, by the way.
Yeah.
Very, very well. But Brad's just fallen back in a pair of slippers. You know what I mean? He just gets on with everyone. It's not like he's having to do that adjustment element, like you're saying.
Yeah.
You know, when you were talking about when you're racing, like in same with yours, it's first year you've trained your ass off, and then you're like, you don't know what you're going to be working with. He's done the training. He's done everything. He's stepping back and up. The seat covers with your name in them.
Yeah.
They must have just blown the dust off them and just stuck them on the Yamaha. They are
I suppose moving back to the same environment must be easier because you've not got that adaptation to new crew chief or new team, new everything, new bike.
I did that with Bathams in 2019 and 2021, and it is like you don't even remember the time in between. It's just like
it didn't happen.
Yeah, it's just like we love working together. Obviously, Brad gets on great with them, and they were his most successful season. So there's the whole adjustment side. There isn't that really. It's just who gets the best out of the package next year.
Definitely.
Jess Mortimer, I like this one, but do you feel, I'll change it around a little bit, but what's the most stressful? Are you more stressed about being a father or what you were as being a racer?
Oh, racing.
More stressful.
Hold on, he hasn't had a kid yet. He hasn't had a kid
wait
yet.
till it drops out.
I will say I should be way more stressed. I think that is, I keep thinking that. I keep thinking I need to actually think about this, but I honestly, like when we found out, it was just the most amazing feeling.
Yeah.
I can't wait for all of it. But the child is also not here, and I'm still getting 8 hours sleep, and I'm a very different person when I'm not sleeping. So
you wait, my friend.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what.
Some of them do sleep, but mine definitely doesn't.
I'll tell you, I think I've asked you this question before, and I want you to answer it again. But what age are you most looking forward to?
I keep thinking after like the first 6 months, I'll be there, but there's not a lot I can do until it's on a bike. Then when it's got wheels involved, then I'll be like, my time to shine.
So a couple of years, Revy will be for sale.
What did you
spare
find,
batteries?
Christian? What was your...
Honestly,
hold on. Has it even had that? I mean, 18, 20, 21? Like, you can have any age.
I swear every bit gets better. Like
But okay, right. You've got one in the oven. When yours was in the oven, what age do you think I'm actually on? Just what age am I looking forward to? If you had to pick one age. And don't be flippant and go all age, but you know what I mean? It must have been going, I'm looking for my first pint. Being able to
I'm looking forward to that bit less. I'm looking forward to the kid part more. I think that when he can actually get into trouble and do bad things, I'm like, I don't want to be involved at that age. It's sort of like just messing about on motorbikes, and I want to get him skiing. That's it. Taz lives in Andorra, so we've got to shoot him with the Uncle Knobhead. He can go sit with it.
I like how Taran's career's going to go for how many more years now? Like that.
You've got to
sign
get to
that
at least
contract.
15.
You've got to sign that contract. Why? The boy's nearly going to be down the slopes here. Come on, sign that contract. But no, that's what about? So you're going through it now. It's gone out the window.
It just gets better and better, so it doesn't make a difference to me. I think they just go for different phases.
I will say for anyone that's not had a kid, if you are unsure on it, I can't actually imagine what this would now be like if this wasn't what we planned. The fact that we planned it, it's been amazing. I've loved being involved in it, but even
I bet you were.
My missus, bless her, she had a horrendous time. She somehow detached both her retinas in her eye. We think from morning sickness. So she's in her pregnancy.
What, hiking up so hard she's detached retinas?
We don't know how she's done it, but I honestly thought when we got together, I would be the one in hospital. And I've not been to hospital yet. It's just been with her. And she's had to have 2 operations during this pregnancy under local anaesthetic because she can't have a general because of the baby. Operations on her eye. So it's been like, I can't actually imagine what this would have been like if we didn't want to do this. We'd be like, why the hell have we been in hospital for this? So it's been quite hard, but she's an absolute trooper.
How is she?
She's not bothered. She just gets on. She's actually harder than me.
In the whole making babies part, us fellas do get the easier.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Much more enjoyable part of that.
Yeah. 100%. I was like, when she was being sick at first.
I was wondering.
Hold on, by the way, just for audio listeners.
I didn't know which part of
my hand's not actually on that camera. I just noticed.
Can you describe that motion to
our
audio listeners?
on the back. That's right.
Which part of the process?
That was the morning sickness.
Oh.
Yeah. What I was going to say was, when I was patting her on the back in the morning sickness, I thought, oh yeah, it's really bad. Like I feel bad for you being sick. And then I actually had man flu, and I was sick in my man flu. I thought, fuck, I forgot how bad it is being sick. Like, she's had this for about 3 weeks and she's not said a thing, and here's me, been sick once.
Did you dare bring it up that you had man flu?
Oh yeah, I told her how much worse mine was than morning sickness. If only she could experience what I was going through.
The fact that she went blind.
Yeah.
But like blind, and you would, I feel a bit, God, this is absolutely class. But I tell you what, but yeah, so we briefly touched on it, but is there literally nothing left on the bucket list?
No, I'm just want to
Anything
enjoy. I feel very, very lucky in my life that I've got to do a lot of things and got to achieve what I wanted to. And I think that's why I'm so happy in my retirement. I do think if I'd
youngest retired man here.
Well, retirement from racing. if I'd only ever finished second in the championship or I'd never won anything, I think this would be a lot harder. I think I'd be thinking, I could just have one more go. Because even more so now...
That's why I'm still going.
Even now, I think I've had 3 years out of it. I actually think I understand it all a lot better. Like, I think I would...
I can't even win Lucky Day competitions.
Nice plug. Proud of you, mate. Proud of you.
Yeah, but I don't feel like that. So I just enjoy my life. And there's no...
That's class.
I just enjoy doing what I do. So my thing now is I've done lots of different things over the last 3 years, but I'm just going to stick at doing YouTube, helping my brother, and doing track day instruction, because they're the three things that I get most satisfaction from. I enjoy helping people get the knee down on track. I think that's amazing the first time someone does that, and I take genuine enjoyment from that. And the BMW Academy is like a really good place for me to do that every week. There's my plug for that.
Nice.
And helping Taz, I love that. Even when it's going crap, I'm there to cheer him up and help him, and I like that side of it. So those three things give me a good variety of things to do, and then having a kid in between, I think I'll have plenty on.
Love it, absolutely love it. And as we always do, naturally through the conversation, we always go through the Patreon questions, but we can't thank you all enough for doing it. So that's Michael, Jess Mortimer, Mick, Jake, we've got Richard Harris, we've got Dave Rufflin, Photostrada, he's always there for a good shout. Thank you very much, mate. Mark Bates, Andy Ryder, thank you so much for getting those questions in. But I must come near the end, before I do the sponsor side of things, I've got to ask Chrissy's question. If you could pick 3 people to go for a pint with, dead or alive, who would they be?
Chrissy,
Only 3.
Number 1, because I absolutely loved racing with Chrissy. That was one of the weird things for me in life. The next year, Chrissy unfortunately had his accident, and that I'm getting hair standing up on my neck, but that was genuinely one of the things that's transformed my life, because I thought that could have been me, and that's why I enjoy what I do so much, and I appreciate everything I do. It's really sent chills down me, but that I say that with hand on heart, that's genuinely what I've changed in my life. There was also Keith Farmer tragically died that year as well, and that's where I've had this whole change in my mindset, where I was like, life's so short, you don't know what's coming, you don't know what's happening. So Chrissy, Keith Farmer would be the other one, because fuck me, I just start laughing. That video of Keith Farmer where he's got the scooter.
No.
Fucking cracks me up the second I think about it. For people that haven't seen it, Keith. Oh God, think about it.
He's got the scooter pinned, hasn't he?
Pinned on the stand. He just bumps it off the stand. It just wheelies. And just knowing it was Paul Bird's scooter as well. Paul Bird just goes fucking mad. Oh God. So those two. Fuck it, Paul Bird, while we're there. Paul Bird, he was like an amazing person, did so much for the sport, so they're my 3.
Nicely done, mate.
Yeah.
Nicely done. Got any more questions, Christian?
No, it's been mint. I've honestly really enjoyed this. It's been spot on.
And obviously, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
No
it's
problem.
absolutely class, man. And
We need to do some plugs.
Get your plugs in.
Plugs.
Coffee.
Oh, no,
Coffee.
I love how Grace sparked into life there. She's
Coffee, I
working
thought
away
we
on her
got a
phone.
coffee.
She's just woke
Swipe
up.
on
She's like, "Whoa, jeez." Don't forget about the Oh, by the way, did you like the
Let's talk about his calendar. That's my freebie that I've been given.
No, but let's
I
let's go to a
reveal it
Pacific
all?
photo. Let's go for a Pacific photo.
I wasn't even sure this was my dad. Apparently it is.
Well, I'm not
My
even-
poor mum, that's what she has to sleep next to. How did he woo my mum? My mum's
That is a specimen of a man. That is Scotland in its proudest form, without a doubt. But Riding Graphics obviously puts these together. It does an outstanding job, and Grace obviously has a huge part. So anyone gets upset what they see, please contact Grace, not Chasin the Racin, Grace Rouse, and just
That's
complain
my
to her.
birthday month as well, so it's
Shut up, man.
February 24th.
Oh, there you are. Drop a message for everyone. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. I love that. But obviously, we've got new caps. We've got the calendars, obviously. The hoodies from Ugly & Co. And I'm looking... use your word. You can edit this
Alan
out.
Carter book.
And the Alan
the
Carter
book.
books, of course. We have Alan Carter books. Sean Muir nicked our last one, so it's we'll have to get
my
a few
dad's
more.
read that. This says it's an amazing book.
It's we can guarantee one thing, and that is one amazing read of that book. Please get one bought. But I think we're gonna have to make the journey all the way up north. But honestly, we cannot thank you enough yet
thank
again.
you guys. We'll have to do it again.
We can't leave for another 4 years.
No.
It's just terrified how that's just flown by.
Dread to think what the fuck's going to happen in another 4 years.
It could be anything. Could be anything. And that's the best thing about it. But obviously, thank you so much to OMG Racing. Oh, quick WTF update. James Hillier smashed his nose
Saw that.
stage 1, and we're actually trying to work out through the rules ourselves. Obviously, this show goes out bi-weekly. So I think the event will be over by at that point. So we'll find out exactly where he's landed, because
He basically didn't finish a stage. He busted his nose pretty bad, didn't he?
It
And he
wouldn't
got
stop
helicoptered
bleeding.
out.
Please watch it on the YouTube side of it. It's like his toys went out. No, he was just gutted. Toys didn't go out the pram. He's like, but that's the thing, the Dakar is very similar to the TT in that side. You get one crack at it a year.
But you can carry on, can't you?
That's what we're trying to work out. I
saw
think
that
you
on a
can
post
carry
today.
on.
Oh, no. Carry on.
He's been medically cleared, so
Right.
even today he'll be riding now as we speak. He'll be riding, but actually, as far as what the event where he is standing, I'm not even sure. I think we'll probably get a catch up tonight on that side of things. So obviously, please go watch out on the WTF YouTube page, and obviously please subscribe and like to Taylor's here.
And do watch the ads.
Yeah, watch the ads, because that's how I get my 50p. You're taking food out of my child's mouth. If you don't.
Exactly.
That's a fact.
Was that part of the YouTube training? Guilt
That's
tripping.
how it started.
That's
Guilt
a straight guilt trip, emotional
Feed my
blackmail.
child.
But obviously, thank you so much to OMG, JCT, Truck and Trailer Hire, and Lucky Day Competitions, and VMoto. So I'm looking at Grace. We've got the nod. We've got the thumbs up. That is all we need to do here. Absolutely brilliant. But I've said it again. I'm going to say it one more time. Thank you so much. And Christian, you're getting better at this, even though your hat's moved down there.
I'll get there one day.
You'll get there one day. You're looking smart. But hey, guys, thank you so much. And we'll see you later on.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.